Hey squad, how are we all doing tonight? It is a temperature outside that allows it to snow, although it's not snowing right now, which is... so, there's that. Weather's not really relevant to you, where I am. I read a tweet that said that the area in which I live had a power out, but it looks like I was not affected, so that's good. That's cool. For those of you who are returning back, I've just started regular streams again. The schedule has changed to Thursdays and Friday evenings from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific time, and Sunday mornings from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific. And so we're just starting. It's a little later than I guess what the old schedule was. Ignatius Pants, thank you for that 13-month resub. Hey, I'm also totally here. And Nami77 for that 15-month resub. We are, so I did play some of this game last night. Also, if you're not aware, there is a YouTube playlist with the previous VODs for this game, because it is story heavy, and I'm going to try and keep up to date, at least enough so that any parts that are missing will not disappear from Twitch, or when they do disappear from Twitch, they'll be up on YouTube. So that'll be good. It's cold outside for Victoria. It's not that cold, but it's cold outside for Victoria. So we're midway through this chapter. We've found out some things about Osawa. Basically, he got tricked into... I guess tricked is like... He was betrayed by a person he thought he could trusted. His assistant. Where is Maria? Maria still doesn't remember who she is. But... her sister Hitomi apparently was infected with whatever virus, so her father snuck her down into a concealed lab to give her the antiviral. It all worked great, and so that's what the real kidnapping plot is about. They're trying to get her so that they can essentially recreate the antiviral from her blood cells. I'm gonna assume that they kidnapped Maria by mistake and then found out. And so that's why they're doing this whole weird ransom exchange thing. So Minorikawa's thing has changed, so we're gonna keep on going with him. Also, FBI agent man over here, probably not a good guy? We don't really know yet. There's some suspicious stuff with that. But Minorikawa, we got him to the Osawa residence, and then he saw Mr. Osawa getting arrested. But we fixed that, so... Who would have thought this plot would have turned out to be convoluted? The U virus. I mean, it's like... I don't know how to pronounce it, it's just a U and an A, but ooh's funner to say. More fun to say. Alright, we're gonna keep... with the he decided to wait a little bit longer choice. Because I think it'll be fine. Suddenly a man's voice came through the intercom. If you're unfamiliar, Minorikawa is the journalist who's trying to help his friend from the 4-star general? I don't know, some sort of gossip rag. Yes, who is it? He sounded rather guarded. It's Minorikawa. Where might I know you from, Mr. Minorikawa? Oh, you know, here and there. I mean, there's only one Minorikawa, really. Are you playing games with me? I don't have the time for that. Please, just open up. There's no way I'm letting you in. This discussion was getting them nowhere. Minorikawa decided he'd have to take the direct approach. Look, just hold your horses. I'm here for an interview. You got that? An interview? He'd taken the bait. Most folks could hardly resist the word interview. That's right. Oh, that's a weird angle. I did not see this angle coming. It's a piece for 4-star general gossip. Wait. This is for one of those kinds of articles? The man sounded angry now. What do you mean, those kinds of articles? I'm just looking for an interview. Like the hell you are. I'm not talking to anyone from the gossip. You're not the one I'm here to talk to. I want to interview your twin daughters. My daughters? No parent would deny their children a chance for word of their achievements to spread. I understand they won a shared prize for a beauty contest at Midoriyama Academy. You wouldn't mind my interviewing them, The intercom cut out before Norikawa could finish. Hey, what gives? I'm begging out here. I'm on my hands and knees. He wasn't actually on his hands and knees, but whoever was on the other end couldn't see that, except they totally could. If your daughters aren't home, can you at least tell them I want to get in touch with them? He wasn't even using the intercom now. He was just shouting over the gate. A man stepped out of the front door. Give me your business card, he said. I'll have them get in touch with you later. The man had a somewhat stricken look on his face. This had to be Kenji Osawa then. Wait, hold on. Osawa? Now Minorukawa recognized him. This was Kenji Osawa, the preeminent virologist who had worked for Okoshi Pharmaceutical. 4-star general gossip had run a scandalous article on him in the past. Minorukawa remembered reading it. He held out his business card and Osawa snatched it from him. The virologist started to head back into his house. Please see they get it back to me, Mr. Osawa, Minorukawa shouted after him. And then he noticed something odd. It was the middle of the afternoon, but every window in the house had its curtains drawn. Is that odd? I never open up the windows. Daylight? That, combined with Osawa's demeanor, set off alarm bells in Minorukawa's head. He knew he was onto something, but he couldn't linger at the Osawa residence any longer than he already had. He needed to get to that theater ASAP. He hurried back to the taxi and told Kimizuka to go. I always expect the screech of tires sound to end with crashing noise. A few minutes later, the rear tires skidded sharply as the cab came to a stop outside a different curb. The trip from Shoto to the theater in Sakuragaoka had taken almost no time at all. Here we are, sir, Kimizuka announced. Wow, that was fast. Still, Minorukawa was at least 5 minutes behind schedule. He hoped he'd still be able to get the interview with Orai. Alright, so there's still a keep out for you. That's fine. So, Kano's fine. There's a keep out for Achi. Maria's fine. Keep out for Sawa as well. Alright. Here, maybe? This might give us the jump for Achi. Did. Nice. I don't know if I like the string I have or not. Achi took the escalator down to the 3rd floor, and there was Hitomi standing right in the open after he'd been searching for her high and low. So, we're at essentially a mall in this timeline. Both Hitomi and Maria are here doing various things. This is Maria. He thinks it's Hitomi. There you are. I thought we were going to meet on the 2nd floor, Achi said. She stared back at him in confusion. Ah, well, anyway. Come on, we have to go hide. Hide? Why? She gave him a dubious look. Achi felt something was off, but now wasn't the time to dwell on it. Because those guys might have found us, he said. They're outside. He took hold of Hitomi's hand. Hey, let go, it gives. She quickly yanked her hand away. Mary Cat, thank you for that resub. Welcome back. Huh? As Achi tried to make sense of the way she was acting, she took off down the corridor. Hey, Hitomi! He hurried after her. It was like changing her clothes had also changed her personality. Still, he couldn't just leave her alone. The kidnappers might be closing in. He stayed in pursuit of her, trying not to draw too much attention. He lost track of her somewhere near the elevators. What is her deal? Unsure of what else he should do, he headed back down to the rendezvous point on the second floor. When he arrived, he spotted Hitomi heading down the escalator ahead of him. Hitomi! Achi shouted, but his voice vanished into the noise of the crowd and she disappeared onto the first floor. Damn it! Achi rushed down the escalator. He took the steps 2, 3, 5 at a time. That seems real dangerous on an escalator. He made it to the first floor and looked around. There was Hitomi, about to take a different escalator back up. Why is she doing this? He waved his arms to get her attention, but she didn't notice and headed right back up. Down, up, what the heck's she thinking? Achi sped around and got up on the upward escalator. Out of my way, come on! He shoved people aside as he ran up the moving stairs. We saw no sign of Hitomi when he reached the second floor. He'd lost track of her completely. Oh, come on, this is ridiculous. Achi's shoulders slumped. He felt exhausted, but he kept up his search, scouring one floor after another until eventually he made it down to the second basement level. Had she grown too impatient waiting for Kanan and gone off searching for the blue minivan again? I think I can handle myself from here. He thought back to what Hitomi had said earlier. Damn it, she's not gonna be okay by herself. He pounded his fist into the wall in frustration. Please stop. That was Hitomi's voice. Hitomi? Achi moved faster than he could think. Achi, she called back. A pair of thugs had grabbed her by both arms. Achi stomped his way towards them. Get your hands off of her, he shouted. Huh? What's it to you, pal? The older of the two, a middle-aged fellow, turned to Achi with a sneer. He looked familiar somehow. Hitomi shook herself free of the men and ran over to Achi. It's no use trying to act tough, buddy. We're just trying to get back what we're owed. Don't make us have to get rough with you. What you're owed? Hitomi, do you owe people money? No, I don't. They just came after me and started going on about 2 million yen. She looked just as baffled by the situation as Achi was. I'm gonna blame someone. Blame your boss, the older man said. He gestured to his lackey. A feral gleam flashed in the young punk's eyes. It was the look of a man who couldn't resist dishing out a beatdown. He brought up his fists and shifted his feet, shadowboxing a few quick jabs with his left hand. It looked to Achi like the guy was an experienced boxer. Hold on, Hitomi said. What do you mean, my boss? Say what? Yanagishita. Who the hell do you think? The young punk shuffled closer, fists still menacing. Then his expression changed. Hey. Hold on. Are you Achi Endo? Yeah, that's right. Oh, well, ain't that lucky, getting to throw down with you like this. The punk sounded pleased indeed. I've heard all sorts of rumors about you, you know. Let's see how true they are. Achi didn't like his chances in a straight-up fight with a trained boxer. What should he do? Run? He reached behind himself, grabbed Hitomi by the arm. Keeping his eyes fixed on his opponent, he took a careful step back. Running away, huh? Coward. The punk was quick to close the gap Achi had just made. Achi didn't care if he was a coward or not. All he cared about was making sure Hitomi was safe. Suddenly, the elevator doors opened before them. A miserable-looking older man stood in the elevator. At the sight of him, the punk's face went red with rage. You! Toyama! Going up! The man in the elevator hurriedly closed the doors. The two thugs rushed towards him, but the elevator had already begun heading back upward. Come on after him, the older man shouted. The young punk raced up the stairs. You stay right where you are, the older fellow added, glaring at Hitomi. Then he followed after his lackey. Does he really think we're dumb enough to just wait here? Achi scoffed. Yeah, you, the people we want to fight. Stay there while we go after other dude. No. Achi, I've been looking all over for you. Hitomi gave him an angry swat on the chest. For me? What are you talking about? You weren't waiting where you said you'd be. Yeah, because you went up to another floor. What do you mean? I went right where you said, on the second floor. Huh? This wasn't quite adding up. The second floor? What are you talking about? I also haven't seemed to notice that your clothes are different. You went up to the third floor. No, I didn't. Wait, what? None of this makes any sense. Actually felt like his brain was getting scrambled. Well, anyway, at least I found you safe and sound. Yeah. The two smiled at one another. What's with those clothes? Hitomi's new outfit was completely different from the clothes she had on earlier. I tried on a few things, but wound up deciding on this. You tried on other stuff? Ah, okay. That explains it, Achi said. No, it doesn't, Heather says. At least now things sort of make sense. That's nice, you know. What is? Your clothes. I mean, they look good on you. Thank you. Heh. Well, I'm actually blushing now. Kinda made me blush to say it. Achi and Hitomi shyly avoided each other's eyes. I don't know. I can't remember if Achi actually does know that she has a twin sister. Hitomi knows she has a twin sister. I can't remember if Achi's actually knows beyond her having a sister. Oh, so hey, Achi said, eager to change the subject. You still have that magazine? Oh, right, yeah. I was gonna just throw it away, but I couldn't. How come? I haven't been able to find the right kind of receptacle. Newspapers and magazines are supposed to be kept separate from normal trash, right? Hitomi scanned their surroundings for a suitable bin. Wait, are you serious? Yeah. You're thinking about proper recycling now, of all times? Is that weird? Uh-oh, I'm in for trouble. I think you might just be perfect. Achi found himself blushing even harder now. Tama! A sudden yell snapped him out of his embarrassment. The sketchy-looking fellow who'd given her the magazine was scampering down the stairs toward them. Great, Achi said. The weirdo's back. The man ignored him, though, and leaned close to Hitomi. Ahahaha! You do still have it. He snatched the magazine from Hitomi's hands. Yes, this one hasn't been scratched off yet. The man hunkered down on the floor and began scratching away at a scratch card stapled in the centerfold. Wait, wait, wait! Don't let him have that! Another man came swooping out of nowhere and yanked the magazine away. It was the older fellow who'd appeared in the elevator minutes before. If only he knew that this man is not aware that he needs to hold the cards up to the light and will totally not get it. You can't do that. That's mine. The sketchy-looking man clutched at the older newcomer. Let go. No way. I said let go. And I said no way. The two were fighting right in front of the exit, keeping Achi and Hitomi from leaving. How'd you like this? The older man shouted, scratching away haphazardly at the ticket. Now it's just a worthless scrap of paper. Ah, my 100,000 yen! You mean my 100,000 yen? Ha 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 ha! Then the middle-aged fellow looked back down at the ticket. Gah! What are the odds? Somehow, in his random scratching, he'd happened to land himself a winner. Just scratch some extra circles. It becomes invalid at that point. Give it! No way! The two men took off, engaged in a running battle for the ticket. Or, you know, rip it up. What was the deal with those two? I'm not sure. Achi and Hitomi could only stand there dumbfounded. On the other hand, hey, look at the time, it's almost 3. The two headed hurriedly for the Jigo back entrance. But just as they were nearing the doors, the shutters dropped down in front of them. Whoa, what gives? Due to maintenance, all entrances other than the main entrance on the first floor have been closed. We apologize for the inconvenience. Customers wishing to leave, please use the main entrance on the first floor. Achi glared at the loudspeaker. It looked like there was no exit through the back after all. I've got a really bad preposition about this. You mean premonition. Hitomi had gotten quicker to butt in with her corrections. Holding on to their premonitions. Then, the two hurried their way up to the stairwell. Weird sentence. As Hitomi tried to head out the first floor door entryway, Achi yanked her back. Careful. What's the matter? It's that guy. Huh? Hitomi's expression stiffened. Slipping behind a nearby pillar, Achi pointed to the man with the cane, who was keenly eyeing shoppers as they came and went. Well, this bites. No way we're getting out with him there. Achi, Hitomi whispered in his ear. Behind us. Achi glanced back and saw the two goons walking in their direction. Uh-oh. Those two caused a scene like before, the assassin would notice them for sure. Aha! The younger punk had spotted them. Damn it, Achi thought, gritting his teeth. Yeep! But the thuggish pair let out a teensy squeak and then darted off in a different direction, vanishing from view. What the heck? Achi and Hitomi watched them go, unsure what to make of the sudden retreat. Well, anyway, Achi said after a moment. So I think they would have been beaten up by Maria by this point, so maybe that's why? Now we can try to find another way out. Taking Hitomi by the hand, he headed back into the shopping area. The back entrance on the first floor, that was a no-go. The other emergency exits were also locked down, which meant that the main entrance on the first floor really was the only choke point in or out. It was almost time for them to meet Kanon. They needed to find some other way to bust out of here. The pair headed back toward the main entrance. Then they saw the man with the cane again, heading in their direction. He hadn't seen them yet, but there was no way they'd avoid him if they didn't do something quick. Guess for now we gotta go up, Hachi said to Hitomi. They started racing up the nearest escalator, which was descending from above. My bad, coming through. Sorry, please excuse us. They fought and shoved their way past a stream of people riding in the other direction. They could see the second floor now. Hachi figured they'd be in the clear once they got there. But then a large woman appeared at the top of the escalator, heading down. She was the one who'd been in the Chinese restaurant on the 4th floor. The one who'd supposedly packed an entire buffet into her belly. She was wide enough that Achi and Hitomi would never be able to slip past her. Yes, because human beings can never stand sideways. Hey, out of the way, Achi shouted. But the young woman ignored him. Achi tried to push past, but he just bounced off of her. They were drifting inevitably back down toward the first floor. It was like they were riding a conveyor belt that was delivering them right to the assassin. This was not good. You're right, this is not a good joke. If they didn't do something soon, they'd... Wait a sec. Something must have caught the assassin's eye, as she saw him suddenly rush outside. There was no telling what had just happened, but now there was a chance to escape. Achi and Hitomi raced out the door. Like, even if Chiri was actually too wide, humans can stand sideways. Like, outside, the man with the cane was nowhere to be seen. Looks like we're safe. Achi let out a sigh. For now, someone said. Keep your eyes open. The sudden words made the two turn with a start. Kanon was standing right behind them. She'd gotten this close and neither of them had noticed a thing. She moved with all the skill of an assassin. Achi felt a chill shoot through him. Alright, cool. We got them to the end of the chapter. So that's good. Who needs Minorikawa and Osawa? So we need... Right, we just did that jump point. There's no jump points here. Might not be the right jump point then. No, it's letting me speed out. I don't think that's the right jump point for that. It's this jump point. Correct? Yeah, there we go. Minorikawa got his wallet out of his jacket to pay the driver. Oh no, Kimazuka said, waving a hand. Don't worry about the fare. Huh? Why not? There's still plenty left over from what you paid me earlier, sir. That's what I meant by special fare. That's right. He'd paid Kimazuka a whole 10,000 yen for taking him to Endo Electronics earlier. But, I mean, I'm not the sort of person to keep the change, as it were, Kimazuki said. Minorikawa felt a surge of pride at those words. You're my kind of guy, Mr. Kimazuka. A man on the job can always count on a Hachiro Kimazuka's taxi, the driver grinned. Now go on, go! Thank you! I have a feeling we'll meet again! Probably. I don't imagine there's many other taxi drivers in this game. As Minorikawa entered the theater lobby, he saw a bunch of flower bouquets, patrons' gifts of appreciation. Among the names of the senders were celebrities he recognized. Celebrities. Fun fact, the largest of the bouquets were sent by Koichi Nakamura of the secret society Chunsoft. You don't say. The next largest came from Marutaro Ishihara from the government organization Joy Art? Following that, there were those from an actress, Barako Rose, popular scenario writer, Ibusu Ipponmatsu, Tohoku, Busters, Bus Tours Co., Limited, Bus Guide, Kimiko Amo, professional baseball player, Maso Narikiyo, the ventriloquist, Shinshin, ukulele player, Hoi Matsuda, online TV critic, Genzo Akitsu, and so on. It says Chunsoft, and of course this game is by Spike Chunsoft, only, you know, with a U instead of the two O's there. Evidently, the Wandering Angels were a pretty popular acting troupe. Episode 4. Novice actor Takuya Amo, despite his nervousness, gave a credible performance as Shido as the production got underway. But as the show continued, his inexperience became apparent. He went on stage for the big wire action scene, having forgotten to attach himself to the rigging. Tezuka was quick to act, rushing on stage in the improvised role of assassin with an Edo accent #1, and fixing a rope to Amo's back during the confusion. Continued in episode 5. People were setting out pamphlets and flyers out on a nearby table. There was a palpable tension in the air. The crew seemed skittish as they went about their work. "He's late!" someone shouted all of a sudden. There was a man over in one corner of the lobby, railing angrily to no one in particular. Why the hell hasn't that journalist shown up yet for the interview? Looked like he'd been waiting on me, Norikawa then. What's the deal? Pulling this while we're this busy. Guess that's Shinosuke Arai. I've been busy myself, Minarakawa said, keeping his composure. Trust me, I know how it goes. Huh? Who the hell are you? I'm the guy you've been waiting for. Mr. Orai. The man glared at him. It's Ore, he said. Anyway, I'm Minarakawa. Sorry to keep you waiting. Though really, a short wait is a small price to pay for the chance to be interviewed by me. Well, I hope you appreciate how valuable my time is, now that you're taking it, snapped Ore. Wow, someone sure has a high opinion of himself, Minarakawa replied. He marched up to Ore. Damn right I do. I'm Shinosuke Arai. The theater man got right up in Minarakawa's face. Like anyone even cares. A jolt of tension sparked between the two men. Fun fact, a jolt of tension. Around this time, there's a similar jolt of tension between two other people, Kenji Osawa and Mamoru Tanaka. So this will be... yeah, probably the other jump point we actually need. I beg your pardon, a woman interrupted. Mr. Arai does have a schedule to keep. And who are you, Miss... Tsukuzawa? I'm the producer? Well, listen, Sue. I'm in the middle of an interview here. Please don't interrupt. What? That's how you conduct an interview? That's right. This is how I roll. Look, whatever. Arai growled. Let's just do this already. Fine by me. He is amazingly rude. The two men sat down at opposite sides of a table in the lobby, but Tsukuzawa spoke up again. Mr. Arai, don't forget the meeting you have after this. Yeah, handle that, would you? Minarakawa let out a derisive snort. It's like you're holding court, he said. Do people actually hang around you with that kind of attitude? You have no right to judge my acting troupe. Minarakawa straightened up in his chair, a mocking smile on his lips. Oh, so it's your acting troupe, huh? Why not just play all the roles yourself? Heck, you could even be your own audience. How dare you? Arai rose to his feet and made to leave, but Tsukuzawa herded him back down into the chair. Minarakawa continued as if he hadn't heard. Just what is it you do anyway? He asked. Arai raised an incredulous eyebrow. You don't know? No, why should I? You came to an interview without knowing anything about who you were interviewing? Yep. That's it. Get out! Arai roared and pointed angrily toward the exit. How dare an unmannered clod like you come in here and waste my time? Hey, who's being unmannered now? I came all the way here to hear your story, didn't I? Why don't you get out? Minarakawa pointed at the exit as well. Why the hell should I have to leave? Arai demanded. This is my house. Fun fact, house is theater jargon for the theater itself, especially the main auditorium. Look, just get out. This time both yelled and pointed towards the exit in unison. Tsukuzawa quickly interposed herself between them, forcing a smile. Gentlemen, please calm down, she said. Then she turned to Minarakawa. You should be aware that Mr. Arai used to be a broadcast writer. A broadcast writer is someone who writes for television or radio programs. A great show depends not only on the actor's performances, but on the skills of the broadcast writer. He's responsible for a lot of big hits. You don't need to mention that, Arai grumbled. Nonetheless, Tsukuzawa rattled off the names of several shows. Minarakawa did indeed recognize many of them. He murmured. So how come you're running a failing theater now? Failing? Arai went red in the face. I'm not wrong, am I? You are absolutely the rudest person I've ever met. What would a rank amateur like yourself know about theater? Arai's face was dark with rage, but Minarakawa didn't back down. Listen, this has nothing to do with how well your theater is or isn't doing, he snapped. The television world wouldn't accept you, so in order to retain your pride as an entertainer, you started doing theater. Isn't that so? Don't act like you know anything. I've staked my entire life on the theater. It seemed as if Arai might throw a punch at any moment. Sure, a city theater might seem small-time compared to TV, but you get a lot more of a response from it. Response? Oh ho, now that sounds interesting. Darn right, Arai exclaimed. You can see it from up on stage. The audience, you can see their faces. There was a passion in Arai's voice now. You can really feel it. When the audience is enjoying themselves, you can feel that energy. can't get that from doing television. Thinking back on it now, my time spent working on TV. Let's see, what's a good analogy? It's like being handed a towel that's already damp. No, that's not right. Okay, so a better analogy would be... Without further preamble, Arai began talking about his tribulations back in his broadcast writer days. Minorikawa smiled inwardly. The interview ended promptly after 15 minutes, the time that had been promised. Both men emerged from it as if from a daze. Minorikawa found himself staring Arai in the face, shaking him by the hand. "So what kind of story did I just get?" he asked, speaking half to himself. He heard about one man and his life, and I have to admit, it was a good interview. Thanks, you have my gratitude. With a satisfied smile, Minorikawa closed his notebook. Right, glad to hear that then. Arai inclined his head, looking a bit bewildered. A flustered Tsukozawa interrupted. Mr. Minorikawa, wasn't this interview for a piece about the performance? Huh? Minorikawa blinked. It's just that you were only asking about Mr. Arai and not about the performance itself, Tsukozawa said. Oh, I see what you mean. Actually, I came here for a piece I'm going to be writing called Where Are They Now? Washed Up Broadcast Writer Showcase. Washed up? Arai was red in the face all over again. Oof. You bastard, how dare you? Forget everything I just told you. I do not give you any of my permission to use it in your magazine. You're too late. What? I've already heard your whole story. You should be grateful that I'll be writing a piece on it. You bastard. With a wild look in his eyes, Arai snatched up a hammer the stage crew had left nearby. Wait! Shut up! Arai waved the hammer menacingly. But the attack came to a sudden halt as a ringtone startled him out of his fury. Hold on a moment, Minorikawa said brightly. I have to take this. He whipped out his cell phone. Hello? Minorikawa speaking. This is Asawa. Wow, he'd called back a lot sooner than Minorikawa had expected. Have your daughters come home then? No. Actually, there's a favor I'd like to ask you. Favor? Minorikawa thought back to his visit to the Asawa residence. The drawn curtains, the stricken look on Asawa's face. Minorikawa's instincts had sensed something significant going on. Apparently, getting the full story wasn't going to come without some cost. A favor, huh? Is it something urgent? I'll pay whatever I have to. I just need you to look into something, as quickly as possible. His voice had the telltale desperation of a man who'd been backed into a corner. All right, Minorikawa said. I can help you out for a little while. Asawa hurriedly explained what he was after. The request was a strange one. He wanted Minorikawa to look into a scandalous article that 4-star general gossip had run about him in the past. What makes this so important? Do I have to say? I mean, you're asking me to look into something without explaining anything. Yaido Arai, lurking nearby with obvious irritation. Minorikawa would need to calm down the erstwhile broadcast writer, or else his interview really would be for naught. He decided to bluff both men at the same time. Let me just say one thing, he said into the phone. He made sure he spoke loud and clear so that Arai would overhear. I want to tell the world this story. No, I need to tell it. If I don't feel that way about something, no amount of money in the world will get me to write an article on it. That's my pride as a writer at work. Minorikawa could see Arai's aura of rage fading as he listened. The theater man looked surprised. Phew. Meanwhile, Asawa had decided to open up a bit. Alright, he said. I can't share all the details, but... Okay, he's in a talkative mood now. Good job, Minorikawa. See, this is going fine. The power balance of the entire world might be at stake here, Asawa continued. And I mean that quite literally. I can tell you more after you're done investigating. Wait, was he serious? How could the world's balance of power hinge on looking into some alleged marital affair? It was so absurd that Minorikawa had to fight the urge to burst out laughing. A person would need to be out of his mind to believe a story like that. But Minorikawa wasn't the average person. And sometimes the truth was so ridiculous, it really was stranger than fiction. Osawa wasn't lying. Minarakawa's instincts told him that much. Alright, he said. I'll check the editing department's notes from back then. Minarakawa felt his excitement building. Things were really getting interesting. For the moment, he nearly forgot Toyama and his troubles. When he ended the call, Orai approached him and extended his hand. Listen, your methods might be a little extreme, but I can tell you take pride in your work. Of course I do. I'm sorry for getting so worked up. I bet you'd write a fine article about me. So please, Mr. Minarakawa, let the world know about me and my half-lived life. Minarakawa took the offered hand and shook it. Leave it to me. Once I'm done with it, you won't be just some washed-up nobody anymore, Mr. Orai. It's Orai. Minarakawa grinned. And then he rushed out of the theater. He completed all the interviews that he could get done before 4 o'clock. Now he had an hour left to write it all up to convince the folks from the loan company that the gossip could stay afloat. He let out a roar, psyching himself up for the final push. Oh, is that what that's supposed to be? Sure. Alright, that should be good. End of that chapter. Just means we made... This means we need... Osawa? I think it's the only one? And that's probably here. Oh shoot, I didn't go to the actual jump point. Alright, Osawa had taken his card and thrown it in the trash. Clearly changed his mind. Osawa picked up his cell phone and dialed Tanaka's number. The phone rang several times. He listened grimly to the empty mechanical sound, preparing himself for disappointment. What is it? Tanaka's voice sounded coldly in Osawa's ear. The tension was electric. Osawa felt a surge of outrage. He wanted to scream, but he took a deep breath and managed to maintain control. Tanaka? Where are you? Is Maria alright? Tanaka did not reply. The police told me. They said you were connected to the kidnapping. A soft chuckle came from the other end of the line. Ah, well, the police sure do know how to do their jobs. Tanaka's tone was unapologetic. He sounded nothing like the man Osawa thought he knew so well. Why would you do this? Money? Are you having money troubles? Money? Tanaka replied. I suppose that's part of it. Honestly, I doubt you'd understand. Do you have any idea what it's been like for me, doing our research together? You're always the one who takes the center stage. The fruits of our success are all yours, even though you couldn't have done any of it without me. The more he said, the more vitriol seethed into his words. Osawa's hand trembled as he clutched the phone. The Tager can never understand how it feels to be taken from. You've hoarded so many things to yourself, so I'm taking some of them back. And with that, he hung up. Hey, Tanaka! Osawa dialed the number again, but Tanaka didn't pick up. Osawa racked his brains, thinking back on how Tanaka had been acting earlier that day. Had there been anything unusual? Any clue at all, no matter how small? If he could find some hint, maybe he'd be able to find Maria and Hitomi. That was it. I had been suspicious of Tanaka all along, so much so that she'd planted a bug on him hidden in a tie clip. Her suspicions must have been pretty strong. Wait, Osawa recalled what Kajiwara had said. But still, if she was that worried. Giving a tie clip as a gift is a bit... The words had struck Osawa as odd when he had first heard them. I had never given him a tie clip. His heart gave a heavy throb in his chest. It couldn't be. No, it was impossible. That article from 4-Star Journal Gossip crept back into his mind. The article had talked about a man I had dated before she married Osawa. The man's identity was never revealed. Could it have been Tanaka? You've hoarded so many things to yourself, so I'm taking some of them back. Tanaka's cold words took on a new depth of meaning. Osawa felt the foundations of his life begin to crumble. Were Tanaka and I accomplices in all this? No, wait. Just calm down. He couldn't let himself jump to conclusions. He needed to be more level-headed. Everything depended on it. If the two were really accomplices, why would I have planted a bug on Tanaka? What purpose would that serve? What could it mean? It was no use. Osawa couldn't think of how that made sense. First things first, he needed to establish what the relationship between I and Tanaka really was. Once he figured that out, he'd be able to get a better handle on the situation. Obviously, he couldn't just go and ask I directly. If she were really involved in all this, she certainly wouldn't tell the truth. Osawa thought back to the business card he tossed into the trash. He didn't relish the thought of getting help from that scavenging hyena, but now was no time to be picky. If he wasn't able to leave the house, he needed someone else to do some investigating for him. The freelance writer, Minoru Norikawa. He was Osawa's only hope. Alright. We got everyone to the end of the chapter, which means new chapter time. Alright, new chapter time. Who do we want to start with? We got a couple hours yet. Minorikawa's gonna go dig up a thing and write some stuff. Sawa's gonna, who knows what. Maria wandering around. Wait, no, Maria had like a gun pointed at her with the man with the cane. So maybe we want to start there, because that was clearly the most cliffhanger of endings. Yeah, this scene. Wait, hold on. Is my name Hitomi Osawa? At my shout, the man with the cane hesitates, his finger on the trigger. What do you mean by that? The barrel of the gun is still aimed squarely at my head. I mean exactly what I said. Is my name Hitomi Osawa? I don't know who I am. You're trying to play games with me. I'm not playing with anyone, I swear. I'm utterly desperate now. Getting killed is one thing, but who wants to die without even knowing who they are? Tell me, am I Hitomi Osawa or not? The man gives me a good hard look. Damn it, I wonder. He continues to study me along the barrel of the gun. Tell me what you know. It's an order, not a request. What I know about what? Look, I have amnesia. I'm an anime protagonist. Forever Backwards, thank you for that 17-month resub. Welcome back. I quickly summarize what's happened to me since I woke up in the storehouse. The man listens intently, never taking his eyes off me. I see. That's what's going on then. Once I'm done with my story, The man with the cane sits down on an empty soda crate. Seems he believes me at any rate. That's a relief, if nothing else. So then, am I Hitomi Osawa? No. Then who the heck is Hitomi Osawa? She someone who looks like me? Shut your mouth, the man spits. Just be quiet. His expression is vacant. What am I gonna do? He mutters to himself. If I'm not Hitomi Osawa, does that mean you don't have any business with me? Seems so. Can I go? The assassin doesn't answer. He lets his pistol hang limp in his hand, the muzzle dropping to the point at the ground. It doesn't look like he wants to kill me anymore. It doesn't look like he'll just let me go quietly either. So, do something about the gun, or let's just wait for an opportunity. I remain motionless, waiting for an opportunity to run away. I might not make it in time, the man murmurs to himself under his breath. Not make it in time for what? I'm curious now, but this is hardly the time or place to try to find out more. I've learned for certain that I'm not Hitomi Osawa, which basically tells me nothing. I'm right back to square one on figuring out who I am. The assassin has gone quiet, sitting on a pile of crates. He seems lost in thought. Still, I don't dare try to get away. All I can do is stand and wait and mull over my own situation. Just who am I? I ask myself again and again. I am... No, I have no business with you, the man finally says. Go. Don't worry, I won't follow you. I wonder if I can believe him. Maybe he's just trying to get off my guard so he can shoot me in the back. Do not go to the police or back home, he continues. Lay low by yourself somewhere for a while. Sir, I have amnesia. I've already told you this. I don't know who I am. What you mean? How am I supposed to know how to go back home in the first place? How long is a while? It's until around sundown. This should all be over by then. It'll all be over? I have no idea what it is, but I decide not to pry in case he decides to change his mind. Okay, I'm going to run away now. Sure. I take a slow step backward. I'm starting to turn away when he speaks up again. Before you go, I need to tell you one more thing. Is it my name? Please tell me it's my name. What's that? When you get your memories back, I'm sure you're going to hate me. You're not going to tell me my name. And so I apologize in advance. Of course, I have no idea what he's talking about, but it makes me even more uneasy. I truly am sorry. I've got no response for that, so I just give the man one last look before I turn and run. I decide to look for someplace to hide out for a while, as the gunman suggested. But since I don't really know my left from my right in this town, that's easier said than done. Before I realize it, I've made my way back to the knick-knack shop where I bought the necklace. Maybe I could hide out in here? As I contemplate that possibility, I hear an all too familiar voice. Tama! 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 There's Mr. Yanagishita on the floor of the shop. He's been tied up with some rope. What happened, boss? Look, this is all just... I was framed! Nah, whatever's happened, I'm pretty sure it was all his fault. Just call it a hunch. He says I'm a thief. Well, I say he's the thief for selling stuff he finds around town. Hey, the sales clerk steps into view, scowling. Just what are you implying? What in the world is going on here? I haven't the foggiest. Tama, help me! Please! Yanagishita kicks and squirms like a hyperactive child. Do you know this man? The sale clerk asks. No. Well, I mean, sorta. He's a real pain. He's been making a scene like this for as long as he's been here. I find it hard to imagine a worse way to interfere with someone's business. I hate to ask, the sales clerk continues, but could you take him to the police for me? The police? Yeah. Oh, well... The police? The gunman did specifically warn me not to go to them. I feel no loyalty to that killer, but I am reluctant to antagonize him. And for reasons I can't explain, I have a strong sense that going to the police right now is a bad move. But Mr. Yanagishita isn't privy to my thoughts, and he looks up at me with a hopeful gleam in his eyes. Yeah, that'll work. Tama can take me to the police, and then we can put this all behind us. All's well that ends well, right? Well, sure? Feeling like I have no choice, I leave the shop with him. Okay, Mr. Yanagishita says excitedly as soon as we're out of earshot. Now let's go find Chiri. Huh? Aren't we going to the What? No, we're not really gonna go. Oh, man, I'm so glad you showed up, Tama. Now come on, let's go find Chiri. With a big grin on his face, I have an inkling of what's coming next. You've thought of another get-rich-quick scheme, haven't you? Goodness, Tama, you can see right through me. It's not that difficult. It's practically written all over your face, boss. But Mr. Yanagishita isn't really listening. He's too full of enthusiasm. This time I got a line on 10 million yen. Come on, let's make ourselves stinkin' rich. He punctuates his grand announcement by pointing fervently at some non-existent listener. Several weeks later, wait, did I mean several weeks later? Oh, he took the Iron Stomach challenge at the burger place. Okay, I see. Okay, so yesterday, Achi and Hitomi went and got food at, I guess it wasn't a burger place, but it was like a place where if you ate so much ice cream, you could get... This isn't the worst ending, but because it's clearly like a several weeks later thing, this is going to be a bad end. I stand with Chiri on the winner's podium. The cheers and applause are deafening when the master of ceremonies makes the announcement. Chiri is the champion. She laughs with delight as she holds up the trophy that signifies her 10 million yen win. And me? I got runner-up. I wasn't too into the idea at first, but after giving it a shot, I found that professional gluttony kinda grows on you. Even I was surprised by how much I could eat, and I had to admit, it felt kinda good, especially since I didn't get lunch that day. Earlier, several weeks before. My memory still hasn't come back. That doesn't matter anymore. I found myself a new purpose. To steal Chiri's spot on the throne. That right there is now my greatest goal in life. Alright. Tama never got her memories back. She ended up starting a new life on the competitive eating circuit, which may not be a horrible fate, but wouldn't it be better if she recovered her old life as Maria? When she was cornered in the alley by the man with the cane, there's someone who could have turned up and helped her out. Yanagishita. But he can't do that if he ends up getting tied up at the knick-knack shop. Ah, I see. Well, alright. Let's go. Let's get the rude boy out of the way. Wait a second. I feel like there's something I'm forgetting. Gah! Minorikawa stopped and let out a cry of frustration in the middle of the street. Daisuke Endo had asked him for a favor after their interview was done. Oh right, he'd promised to tell the Wandering Angels that the dry ice machine they purchased was defective. Episode 5 of Wandering Angels. At last, the climax of the play drew near. There was a whole string of troubles, but the cast soldiered on, and it looked like things were going to end all right. Then, backstage, Bando noticed that the dry ice machine was acting strangely. Even after it had been turned off, the machine continued to churn out more dry ice. The producer, Tsukazawa, demanded that the defective device be returned immediately, and so Tezuka, Bando, and Amo loaded it to their vehicle and left the theater. Continued in episode 6. Well, damn. That had completely slipped his mind. If he recalled correctly, the issue was that once the machine started making dry ice, it wouldn't stop. If he ran back to the theater now, he'd lose about 10 minutes. Minarakawa checked his wristwatch. The lone people would be coming by the editing office before too long. He needed to prove to them the next issue of 4-Star General Gossip was well underway, or else they'd refuse to wait for any longer for repayment. And to do that, he needed to fill a minimum of 6 of the 12 remaining blank pages. He couldn't afford to waste even a single second. This was an awkward position to be in. He needed to keep his promise to Endo, but he also needed to spend his time wisely. Guess I don't have a choice. Nothing he could do, hurry on to the cafe. I mean, he agreed. Let's see if we can make this good. He'd agreed to take on responsibility. He headed back to the theater. When he got there, he flagged down the first guy he saw to tell him about the dry ice machine. Hey, make sure you remember I'm about to tell you, okay? The dry ice machine is broken. The man stared back at him blankly. Minarakawa just forged ahead. Got it? The dry ice machine is broken. It needs to go back to the electronics store. Make sure you let the folks in charge there know. His obligation met, he hurried back to the cafe to get back to work on his coffee. Along the way, he caught sight of a young couple running. They seemed like an odd pair. The girl looked prim and proper, while the boy struck him as a bit thuggish. In fact, the boy's clothing was very much in the style worn by Shibuya street gangs. Maybe he'd known something about SOS. Hurrying to cross their path, Minarakawa called out to the pair. Hey, mind if I ask you something? Have you heard of SOS? The pair stopped, eyeing him warily. For those of you who missed the SOS street gang explanation, that was several episodes ago, SOS stands for Studs of Shibuya. The pair stopped eyeing him warily. The young man spoke. Yeah, why do you ask? Do you happen to be a member yourself? No, not anymore. Well, if the kid had once been part of the group, he ought to be able to provide some background anyhow. Narakawa took a step closer to the couple, formulating his next question. But they didn't stick around to hear it. Let's go, the young man said, and a moment later he and the girl were running away. Hey! But the pair paid him no heed. In a moment they had vanished down an alley. The story about SOS would have to wait till later then. Minarakawa hurried into the cafe. Wasting no time, he sat right down and plugged his laptop into the nearest power outlet. He plunked himself down on the floor and hit the computer's power switch. So he didn't even go to a table. The waitress gave him a disapproving look. Sir, I'm afraid you can't sit there. Well, it looks like your tables are full. I'll make do here. Well, being able to make do isn't really the issue. I'll have a coffee, please. Ugh. Just do whatever you want. The waitress turned away and stared vacantly up at the ceiling. Yeah, the problem with his laptop last time was that the battery had ran out. He needed to plug it in. You know, a person can only get away with being obnoxious for so long. Sooner or later, someone's likely to call the police. Minarakawa looked up from his work, startled to see the Burning Hammer salesman standing over him. You're Mr. Yanagishita. Thank you so much for stopping by earlier. Are you going to write your article here? Yanagishita eyed Minarakawa's computer. Oh, that's the latest model, isn't it? Look, I got no time to talk right now. Minarakawa opened the file with his half-written copy. Ooh, what's this? Chaos at bogus weight loss drink sales demo. Yanagishita read the copy aloud. The organizer, Junichi Yagishita, didn't really have a whiff of deceit about him. His breath also stunk. Sound good? Minarakawa asked. I wanted to make sure I gave it an accurate impression. Oh, I do love that what you've done with it. This is a great copy. Fantastic. Yanagishita turned to look up at him with a manic grin. Yeah, isn't it? In a flash, Yanagishita's face went from grinning to livid. Like hell it is. You think I'm just gonna let you write something like that? Snatching of the computer, Yanagishita bolted out of the cafe. Hey, get back here! And Arakawa leapt to his feet and rushed off in pursuit. As he sprinted madly along, Yanagishita turned down a narrow alley. Arakawa stayed close behind, desperate not to lose sight of him. His quarry began to weave this way back through the alleys of Shibuya. This guy clearly knew his way around town. By Miyashita Park, they zipped up onto a pedestrian bridge. Just where the heck was this idiot going? Halfway across the overpass, Yanagishita suddenly stopped. Confused, Arakawa stopped as well. Oh no, don't throw the laptop off the bridge, man. Give that back, he called. The next moment, Yanagishita flashed a mocking grin and dangled the laptop over the railing. Uh-oh. Arakawa lunged toward him, but it was already too late. The laptop left Yanagishita's hand and went spinning down through the air. Then as the two men struggled, Yanagishita himself toppled over the railing. Without hesitating, Arakawa jumped down as well. Whoa! Gah! Thump. Arakawa landed hard. As he struggled to regain his breath, he looked around and saw Yanagishita beside him. Incredibly, the laptop was safe in the charlatan's grasp. Oh my goodness. Hey, Battleground Games Live. Thank you for that raid. That probably hurt. That... I mean, it's kind of his own fault for saying he was going to throw the computer over, but... apparently he'd somehow managed to catch it in midair. Before Arakawa could be too relieved, however, Yanagishita got to his feet and took off running again. Get back here, you little weasel. For those of you just joining us, we are playing a game called 428 Shibuya Scramble for the PS4. I think it originally came out for something older. It's a visual novel. We're pretty deep into it. I don't think so! This Yanagishita guy was infuriating. Then, he was really fast. Arakawa considered himself a decent runner, but he couldn't manage to gain on Yanagishita. If running away was a competitive sport, the guy would be a world-class superstar. As he ran along, a peculiar thought occurred to him. Hold on a minute. If he hates my copy that much, shouldn't he have wanted my computer to break? Why'd he go out of his way to catch it like that? It made no sense at all. Hey, Arakawa shouted between gasping breaths. What are you planning to do with my laptop? Yanagishita glanced back at him. Gonna sell it. Sorry about this. What? Arakawa was taken aback. Consider it compensation for defamation of character. Fun fact, defamation of character. In the civil sense, the act of unlawfully damaging another person's character or reputation in the public eye. In the criminal sense, the act of disseminating damaging facts about an individual to an unspecified large number of people. Come on, get real. It can't be defamation if the article hasn't run yet. Then consider it an advance on the compensation. This was so nonsensical it made Arakawa's head hurt. But now at least he knew why Yanagishita dived after the computer. The thief continued to wave his way through the side streets. His speed didn't diminish in the slightest. Damn it, this guy has too much experience running away. And he probably does. Arakawa's stamina began to fade, and finally he lost sight of his quarry. But that didn't mean he was ready to give up the search. There were articles on that computer that were right on the verge of completion. Whatever it took, he had to get it back. Yanagishita had said he was going to sell it. Where could he be headed then? I mean, he's probably headed to the knick-knack shop, but I'm afraid if we get him... If we get him tied up, that gives us a bad end for Maria. But I feel like if we don't get the computer back, that gives a bad end for this character. Well, alright, fine. He's probably headed to Endo Electronics. It's the only local place you could think of that might buy a secondhand computer. Damn, the guy had led him on a wild goose chase. Minorikawa started running towards Doganzaka. As he approached the scramble outside the station, he caught sight of a skinny figure disappearing into the throng along Center Guy, a suit with deep bluish stripes. There was only one man he knew who dressed like that. But why was he heading down Center Guy and not toward Doganzaka? Oh, now he remembered. There was a second-hand knick-knack shop near there where Burning Hammer demo had been held. He recalled seeing a poster out front that read, "We buy computers at top prices." That had to be it. That's where Yanagishita was planning on selling his laptop. Changing directions, Minorikawa darted down Center Guy. There you are, Yanagishita. Minorikawa burst into the shop on Center Guy, an accusing finger pointing squarely at the thief. Listen, there's no way I'm buying a computer that doesn't have a power cable. Details, details. All you sell here is junk anyway. Yanagishita and a shopkeeper had gotten into an argument. Minorikawa recognized the shopkeeper. It was the guy he'd run into on the roadside earlier. That computer belongs to me, Minorikawa shouted as he marched up to them. Give it back. Yanagishita clutched the laptop to his chest. I need the money. Knock it off, you're acting like a child. Minorikawa tried to slap him out of his tantrum, but Yanagishita ducked to avoid the blow. And then, bizarrely, Yanagishita froze. A fierce gleam came to his eyes. He broke into an incomprehensible stammer. That's it! Yanagishita snatched up a flyer that his gaze had fixed on. Iron stomach, huh? This right here is my little bluebird of happiness, he cried. You know what? You can have this. Yanagishita shoved the laptop into Minorikawa's arms. Ha 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 ha! Welcome to it, you idiot. I don't need no worthless computer. You're the idiot, Buster. Minorikawa smacked Yanagishita right across the face. Ouch! Hitting him felt good. He decided to do it again. He drew back his arm to deliver another blow, but then someone else came into the shop. Yanagishita's eyes lit up as they saw who it was. Oh, my angel! Whatever is my darling Miku doing here? Oh, right, it's the cosplay Street Fighter girl. Miku stood in the doorway on the verge of tears. I thought she went to, take up gardening or something when she got defeated. Mr. Minorikawa, she began, then her voice choked up. Miku? What's the matter? Is something wrong? I... Miku drew in close to Minorikawa's side. Huh? Huh? Yanagishita's gaze started back and forth between Minorikawa and Miku. You two know each other? Sort of. More to the point. Is she the girl you said you were in love with? That's right. The one and only Miku. I have her entrance music set as my ringtone. Paying no heed to Yanagishita's excitement, Miku kept her eyes fixed on Minorikawa. I lost to a girl who knows Akijujutsu. I lost! She buried her face in Minorikawa's chest. Yanagishita let out a gasp. What's this about? What in the what is this all about? He seemed on the verge of panic. Mr. Minorikawa, I need to learn Akijujutsu. I feel so ashamed. She buried her face even deeper into Minorikawa's chest. That's so unfair! With tears in his eyes, Yanagishita darted out the door. I guess he didn't get tied up. Norikawa glared after the pathetic fellow as he scampered off. The guy sure knows how to take advantage of a bad situation. I'll give him that, he murmured. Let's leave him alone. Anyhow, I'm glad I just got my partner back. Ordinarily, he'd be inclined to pursue Yanagishita and subject him to a tirade, at the very least, but there was no time for that now. I've got deadlines to meet. He explained the situation to the shopkeeper, who flashed a sympathetic smile. Ah, is that so? Lucky for you, he screwed up then. Much as I'm happy to do business, I just can't buy a computer that doesn't come with its accessories. So you'd have bought it from him if he'd had the accessories. Of course. Stolen or not, it's all the same once I've sold it. The shopkeeper chuckled unapologetically. Huh, I suppose that's true. Norikawa laughed along with him. Yeah, all the same. Like hell it is, he roared. The shopkeeper froze with like a startled rabbit. I bet everything you have here for sale here has been stolen, hasn't it? Don't be ridiculous. I'll warn you up front. There's no use hiding things from me. I've interviewed you after all. I know you. The shopkeeper was getting more and more flustered. Well, I mean, look, this is just between you and me, okay? Sometimes I go around gathering stuff that people have lost and I sell it here. But it's not stolen, just repurposed. There's nothing wrong with that, right? The shopkeeper smiled ingratiatingly. You moron. Norikawa stuck his finger in the man's face. Selling lost property is a serious crime, too. A potential violation of Article 254 of the Penal Code of Japan regarding embezzlement of lost property, which states, a person who embezzles lost property, drift property, or any other property which belongs to another person and is in no one's possession shall be punished by imprisonment with work for not more than 1 year, a fine of not more than 100,000 yen, or a petty fine. It is? Well, I mean, I guess I sort of figured it might be sometimes. Well, I'm not the police. I'm more into curiosity than legality. In fact, I find this all pretty fascinating. I mean, what sort of things have you gathered up for sale? Let me see. Like, this and that and that and that. The man pointed to various items on his shelves. And also this and that and that and that. And that, I guess. Nariko's eyes were directed all over the shop. Everything the shopkeeper had pointed out had a hefty price tag. And you're actually able to sell things like this? Norikawa asked. Sure, I can sell stuff. Earlier today, someone bought a big necklace. I'd listed it for 40,000 yen, but I discounted it down to 30,000. You can still make a profit even offering discounts? Sure. I mean, it was just something I found lying on the ground after all. Hahaha. Norikawa looked back at him and for a moment he laughed as well. Then his face turned hard. This is no laughing matter, he bellowed. You need to stop what you're doing here right away. Otherwise you're gonna find out what it's like to get punished by my pen of justice. I'm so sorry. The shopkeeper bowed repeatedly. Norikawa glared. The truth was that right now he was so busy he'd have to let this guy slide. Still, this whole asinine affair had eaten up a big chunk of time he didn't have to waste. He was going to have to finish up his copy back at the editing office. Laptop in hand, he left the shop, only to stop short when a slight figure stepped out in front of him. Mr. Norikawa! Miku stood there, barring his path. Please introduce me to a dojo where I can learn Aki Jiu-Jitsu. I'm sorry, I really don't have time for this right now. Norikawa tried to hurry onward, but she stubbornly refused to let him pass. You introduced me to that other dojo before, remember? I suppose so, now that you mention it. He tried to slip by her on her right-hand side, but she was quick to block him. You're the one who introduced me to the world of martial arts, Mr. Norikawa. Well, yes. You know you're putting me in a bit of a bind here. Trying to slip by on her left was a no-go, too. She could anticipate his every move. Please just hear me out, Miku said. She was speaking through quiet sobs now. I can't stand to leave things like this. She looked Norikawa right in the eye. I don't really have time for this discussion. Just persevere until you're able to win again. It's something you need to do yourself, but You were the champion at that one pub, right? Maybe your mistake was thinking that you'd be able to win in an actual for-real fight. Miku began to tremble. You jerk! Miku delivered a blindingly fast slap to Minorikawa's cheek. Why do you have to put it like that? You're so mean. Bursting into tears, Miku ran off. Hey, Miku! She gave no sign she'd heard him and didn't turn around. Minorikawa rubbed his cheek. It stung. For once, he actually regretted what he'd said. Maybe he shouldn't have assumed she'd be willing to just give up her hobby. He did in fact know of several Aki Jiu-Jitsu dojos. If only he had had the time, he could have introduced her easily enough. Checking his watch, he saw he only had 30 minutes and change until 4 o'clock. There was no more wriggle room at this point. These articles needed to get written fast. He needed to get back to the editing department. And yet... Oh, damn it all to hell, I can't get work done like this. Minorikawa broke into a run. But he didn't run for Heaven Publishing. Instead, he went after Miku. Oh. I thought it was headed towards a bad end. But alright. Okay, doing that should have changed what happened with Maria. The assassin had gone quiet, sitting on a pile of crates. He seemed lost in thought. Still, I don't dare try to get away. All I can do is stand and wait. Huh? We've read this before. This is where he just yells Tama or something. Yep. Tama! Tama! I am... none of the above. None of those fit me at all. I turned at the sound of an exuberant voice and see Mr. Yanagishita running my way, flailing his arm in a friendly greeting. I swear, this guy could wind up banished to the pits of hell and he'd still give it his all day in and day out. Oh, thank goodness. It is you, Tama. I knew it. The man with the cane grumbles something incoherent, then holsters his gun and flees the scene. E-Block, thank you for that cheer. Someone's had way too much running hammer. Yeah, no doubt. Huh? Now you're with some middle-aged guy? You look so sweet and innocent, but I guess you kind of get around, huh? Boss, nice timing. I do a little fist pump. Whatever he's doing here, I'm glad he drove off that guy with the gun. What are you so happy about? Yanagishita gives me a puzzled look. But he's promptly distracted by his own excitement. Well, anyway, never mind that, Tama. He shifts down to a conspiratorial whisper. You know, I'm such an idiot. I can't believe I was in such a tizzy over some silly scratch card from a magazine. I can tell he has news he's itching to tell me. Did something happen? Well, tee-hee-hee. He brings a hand to his mouth and giggles unsettlingly. I had a great little idea. A great way to strike it rich. I feel like I've heard this from you before. Mr. Yanagishita shakes his head fervently. This time it's different. We're talking way more digits than before. Now try not to be too surprised, yeah? Spittle flies from his mouth as he rattles on. It's okay to be surprised, actually. In fact, I'm guessing you're definitely gonna be amazed this time, Tama. I can practically see the blank notes dancing in his eyes. Banknotes. Cut to the chase already. What does he want to tell me? This time, get this. I got a line on 10 million yen. He thrusts his index finger skyward, grinning ear to ear. Surprised now? Yeah, you are. And it doesn't require any capital. It's a no-risk, high-return. In the world of equity investment, a wise investor weighs risk against the potential for return. Many heavily risky projects, however, yield little in the way of actual returns. Such cases are called high-risk, low-return. The inverse, low-risk, high-return, is quite rare. The idea of no risk, high return is simply absurd. There's a crazy gleam in his eye. Oh man, I'm finally gonna get to be part of the billionaires club. That's so ridiculous. I don't even have a snappy retort for it. Never mind that 10 million obviously wouldn't make him a billionaire. By the way, you haven't seen Chiri, have you? We're gonna need her help to wrap this 10 million yen. Chiri? No, I haven't run into her since the sales demo. Oh, darn. Well, if you do happen to see her, tell her to get in touch with me. Sure, alright. I still don't know what he's going on about. There's probably no harm in being helpful. Thank you, Tama. Guess I may as well give you a little hint. A hint? Yeah, a hint. Want to hear it? Sure. Well, then I guess I've got no choice. When you put it that way, I just have to tell you. Mr. Yanagishita clears his throat and proceeds to declaim in an infected tone. When the mighty stomach triumphs over the endless cavalcade of icebergs, the hero shall be blessed with fame and fortune. Huh? What the heck is that supposed to mean? He looks inordinately amused at my confusion. It's part of a legend. You only need to remember that one verse for now. You're going to bear witness to history. I feel like this guy's right out of some kind of story himself. Anyway, thanks for helping me out with the Chiri thing. Adios! Adios. Spanish for goodbye. The true meaning is closer to the English farewell. In day-to-day interactions, most Spanish speakers use the word ciao. Is it ciao? I think it's ciao. Adios can carry the connotation that you do not expect to see the addressee again. And then, like a whirlwind, Mr. Yanagishita zooms away, leaving me alone in the alley. Suddenly I feel totally exhausted. I let out a sigh and drop my eyes on what and that's when I noticed a notebook on the ground. Did the assassin drop this? I picked it up and looked inside. There's a photograph tucked inside the back cover. It shows 3 young people, 2 boys and a girl. Alright, suddenly something plot important that we have no idea why is important. Well, what do I do now? Do I go to the police? How could I have even explained the situation? I can see it now. There's this killer out there, and he's after this person named Hitomi Osawa, and then the police would be like, who is that? And who exactly is after her? And then what would I say? Heck, they may not even give me the time of day in the first place. Not only do I not have any idea who Hitomi Osawa is, I know nothing about the guy who's after her, except that he walks with a cane. I mean, I can't even tell them who I am. They'd probably shoo me away without a second thought. Wow, I like how she's basically just told herself she shouldn't bother going to the police. Which would do a lot of different things for this story. What am I supposed to do? I hang my head at a total loss. The necklace around my neck sways idly to and fro. Ah, we need a jump. Need to pick somebody else. Let's try the police, actually. Let's see what Kano's up to. Oh, video. Kano practically dived from the car when he arrived at the scene in Maruyamcho. The police was loud. The place was teeming with officers and onlookers alike. Out of the way, please, move aside. Kano forced his way through the throng. Sasayama was lying in a massive pool of blood. Oh, right. Sasayama! Kano rushed to his partner's side. Some of these sound effects are loud. The knife was still embedded deep in Sasayama's belly. Its handle shuddered each time he drew a labored breath. Guess I messed up. Sasayama could only manage a raspy murmur. Please don't try to talk, Kano urged. Looks like I won't be celebrating the missus's birthday. Sasayama drew a small package from his pocket. It had been neatly wrapped and fitted with a pretty little ribbon. Here, give this to Michan for me. Keno shook his head. No way. You can give it to her yourself. You've never met Michan, huh? She's real pretty. Probably surprised how pretty she... I know. You've told me all about her. Keno, please. Give this to my wife for me. Mustering up the last of his strength, Sasayama pressed the gift into Kano's hand. Sasayama? Sasayama's hand dropped back into the puddle of blood. A paramedic team finally arrived at the scene. As Sasayama was loaded into the ambulance, Kano felt a surge of rage roiling inside him. Clenching his fist so hard his nails dug into his palm, he marched over to the captive Al Carawan. You son of a bitch. He wound up for a punch to Al Carawan's face, only to have his arm caught forcibly by the elbow. Spinning his head around, he found Stanley standing there. Let go of me, Stanley. But the American had a grip of steel, and Kano's arms wouldn't budge. They allow you to assault suspects here in Japan, do they? Kano bit his lip, then lowered his shaking fist. No, of course not, he growled. Al Carawan let out a nasal chuckle as he watched the pair. With a cold glare, Stanley strolled over to him. Aw. He leaned in close to whisper something, and all at once the blood drained from Al Carawan's face. Visibly shaken, Al Carawan had said something back to Stanley. Stanley gave a slight nod, then left the captive with the police escort. Kano went over to him. Hey, what was that all about? Apparently, Al Carawan gave Hitomi some instructions. Told her to get into a blue minivan that was parked along Dogenzaka. So Stanley's hunch had been correct. But why had Al Carawan confessed so quickly? How do you get him to talk? You don't need to know that. Turning on his heel, Stanley went to report the news about the blue van to the task force. Kuzu immediately directed the detectives nearest Dogenzaka to look into it, but they found no blue minivan in the area. The order then came down for all personnel to search for the vehicle. Kano thought back to another item in the Dick diary. Oh, right. It's been a while since he brought up the detective dictums. Dick dictum number 14. Use the dead as a stepping stone, but be sure to die a stepping stone yourself. That's kind of a harsh one. In the abstract, Kano would appreciate the nobility of self-sacrifice, but when he thought of Sasayama's blood-stained figure, it wasn't so easy to keep his emotions in check. First time you've ever seen a fellow officer get hurt? I think what it's saying is that if someone dies, you can like, that's not the end of a lead. That's more information you can go off of. And the idea of, like, dying as a stepping stone yourself is, like, if you go after someone and you can't make it, also try to leave clues so that other people can continue in your work. I think is what they're going for with that. Yeah, I know, it's a harsh one. Stanley had come back over to him. We don't have time to relax. If you can't keep your anger in, then do something about it here and now. Stanley pointed to his own jaw. Hit me, American style. Kano smiled wryly at the unexpected proposal. Kinda wanna throw a punch? Sure, let's do it. Stanley soaked up the rage-fueled blow, his face a mask of calm. Kano felt all the more miserable in the face of such unflinching resolve. If I weren't such a bumbling clod, Sasayama would never have. Hey, don't blame yourself, Stanley said. You guys have been doing better than I expected. More sarcasm, huh? Stanley's mouth curled up sheepishly and he held his hands wide. Kuzu's voice suddenly cut in over the wireless. We've located the blue minivan. It's in Jinan 1 Chrome on Koendori. Hitomi might be there, and maybe the kidnapper's ringleader would turn up too. On pure reflex, Kano broke into a run. Stanley followed, close behind. They sped through the back streets, making their way toward Koendori. Kano was a pretty fast runner, but Stanley kept up with him without apparent difficulty. Were you in the army or something? No, the Marines. United States Marines Corps, a rapid deployment force specializing in amphibious landing operations, an independent branch of the armed forces along with the Army, Navy, and Air Force. The Marines' motto is Semper Fidelis, Latin for always faithful. Alright, neat. It wasn't much further to Koendori. Kano, if we can find that van, don't get too close, Stanley warned. It could be a trap. Those people will do anything to carry out their goals. Anything, huh? Kano could sense the truth of Stanley's words. He reminded himself that his life could depend on remembering them. He raised his eyes. They were coming up on Koendori. Suddenly, a boom, as loud as cannon fire, shook the area. Something's wrong, Kano thought. That's no ordinary city noise. A column of black smoke rose up from between two nearby buildings. Passersby stopped and stared, gasping in alarm. Oh, more video. This is like more video than I've seen in a while. This is a bad end. This seems like a bad end. Then Kano saw flames. This hadn't been an accident. Someone had set off an explosion. Several people were on the ground nearby, evidently injured by the detonation. Mr. Minorikawa! Mr. Minorikawa! A high school-aged girl was crying, clinging tightly to a man who'd been caught in the blast. Kano recognized her as the girl he talked to earlier during the traffic jam. The man looked like he might still be alive. Kano hurried over to them. Police, he announced. Blood was streaming from the man's mouth. He clearly suffered some internal damage. Hang in there, buddy, Kano told him. Stay with us. The man's face twisted up in pain. Somehow he managed to croak out a few words. Kano let out a gasp. The man's voice was almost too weak to hear, but what he said still shook Kano to the core. This man knew something important. Something crucial to the investigation. Rescue vehicles arrived on the scene and the wounded man was promptly loaded onto a stretcher. When he was placed inside the ambulance, Kano flashed his badge at the paramedics and got in alongside him. The man had already fallen unconscious. Kano didn't know when he'd wake back up, but he knew he needed to hear what the guy had to say. He sensed that this stranger was the key to unlocking the entire case. But though Kano kept a lonely vigil, the man never woke again. Oh yeah, this is a bad end. The antiviral had been given to Hitomi, the blue minivan Al Carawan told Hitomi to look for. And now the minivan exploding. Kano was sure this man had known how all these things tied together. But now the key to solving the case was gone for good. Bad end. The Lone Lead. It's a pretty good name for that. Alright. Kano tried to get information from a man who was caught in the explosion. Minorikawa when he arrived too late. If Minorikawa hadn't been caught in the blast, things would have gone differently for Kano. At 15:30, somebody shouts something, and depending on what they shout, both Kano's and Minorikawa's fates may change. Alright, we have to go into someone else's timeline for that then. We still have Achi and Osawa. Let's go check out Osawa. Never truly trusted anyone, not on a fundamental level. Human beings are a type of organism that I can't get a true handle on through mere surface interactions. And the very fact that I have never trusted anyone else means that, inevitably, no one else has ever trusted me. In the end, maybe the root of all my problems can be traced back to my heart. As he waited for Minorikawa to contact him, Osawa thought about his current crisis. Assuming Tanaka was behind the kidnapping, that he must have accomplices. And these criminals had mistakenly abducted Maria in their attempt to get the antiviral drug that was in Hitomi's blood. Maria and Hitomi were fraternal twins, but they looked similar enough to be mistaken for identical twins. Still, Tanaka would never confuse the two. The mix-up must have been made by some criminal who didn't know Maria or Hitomi personally. Insisting that Hitomi bring the ransom to the train station was obviously their solution. It had her set up for a second abduction. But piecing together this much of the kidnapper's plan only raised a different question. Why had Tanaka shown him those emails from Hitomi? Wouldn't the criminals want to keep information like that hidden? The more Osawa thought about things, the less they made sense. Just who are my true allies, and who are my foes? Mr. Osawa, a delivery has arrived for you. It was Kajiwara, at the study door. Come in. Kajiwara stepped into the room and handed Osawa a letter-sized envelope. Osawa checked the label. Coming. The official Aya Kamiki fan club. Membership application enclosed. Coming. Requires a 1,000 yen initiation fee and yearly dues of 3,000 yen. Membership grants several perks, including the opportunity to reserve concert tickets in advance of the general public. Osawa is fond of the members-only website content, which includes Aya Kamiki's blog and exclusive videos. Cool. Right. He had requested the application the day he'd gotten back from overseas. Would you mind opening that? Kajiwara asked apologetically. What for? I'd just like to check the contents of any packages you received today, sir. It's possible the kidnapper may try to contact you by mail. Osawa opened the envelope. Inside, he found the expected application along with several postcards featuring pictures of the singer. Kajiwara peered pointedly at the postcard images. You must really like her, the detective said. And just what sort of music do you listen to then? Osawa asked, staring at one of the postcards. It was a striking photo that showed off Kamiki's expressive eyes. Let me think. Mostly classical, I suppose. Osawa raised a quizzical eyebrow. You know, Kajiwara continued, like Mozart and Chopin and the like. Mozart, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, 1756 to 1791, Austrian-born music prodigy and classical composer. Famous works include The Marriage of Figaro, The Magic Flute, and Symphony No. 41, known as the Jupiter Symphony. Chopin, Frederick Francois Chopin, 1810 to 1849, also shows up in a couple of weird rhythm video games, but we don't talk about those. Composer and pianist of the early Romantic era, famed as a national musician of Poland, left behind numerous solo piano works. Famous works include his Nocturne, Op. 9, No. 2, and his Piano Sonata No. 2. Also, these characters are in an anime called Classicaloid, and it's also very weird. I don't recommend getting your music history from it. He hummed a few bars. Can't say I've ever heard of them. Are you serious? Kajiwara looked shocked. I'm familiar with the names, of course. Just never had much of an interest in music. Oh, that's such a shame. Would you care to listen to a piece now? No? Right now, Osawa preferred silence to unfamiliar music. I see. How about something like this, then? The detective pulled a digital music player out of his pocket. Here you go. Dubiously, Osawa slipped the attached earbuds into his ears. Ah, yes, the sound of a clock going off. That's, definitely... You heard the sound, the gentle sound of surf. Oh yeah, there's water noises. The simple rhythm of waves crashing and receding drew him in. He listened with unexpected pleasure. Time went by, comfortably, as if he were standing alone on some remote beach. He took a deep breath, then expelled it through his nostrils. It felt as if the toxic gloom that had filled him was departing with the air. Before he knew it, nearly 10 minutes had passed. What do you think? It's quite nice. I listen to this a lot when I can't sleep. Even Kajiwara's voice sounded somewhat soothing to Osawa now. Oh no, is something bad going to happen because I said I didn't want to listen to classical music? Thank you, Detective. I'd forgotten what it was like to feel this way. He spoke the words unthinkingly, with unaccustomed frankness. I'm very happy to hear that, sir. Osawa gazed at one of the postcards as he gave his body over to the sound of the roaring sea. Io was scooping up handfuls of mystical blue sand. The grains dripped down from her fingertips. I feel like I could be in this photo here, Osawa muttered. Like I've lived my life letting so many things slip through my fingers. Kajiwara thought for a moment before responding. I think anyone who's worked hard to accomplish something and focused for a long time on that one thing is susceptible to those kinds of feelings. Accomplishing something means getting results. That's not where my problem is. Sawa removed the headphones and gave back the music player. Cool. You told me not to hide things from you, right? Kajiwara nodded silently. Then allow me to speak frankly. Leaning back heavily in his chair, Sawa took another deep, slow breath. I'm anxious. So anxious that it's almost crushing me. Given the circumstances, sir, that's completely understood. No! Sawa spoke up before Kajiwara could finish. It's not that. It's not that at all. He shook his head vigorously. If the worst should happen to my daughter, how am I going to feel, I wonder? I'm not a man with a wide range of emotions. My heart is always cold somehow. And the truth is, I've wanted it to be that way. Which is why, if I do lose my daughter, my heart might remain unmoved. I may not even be able to feel a father's sorrow. That's what I'm anxious about. He felt his emotions twist inside him in a way that was utterly confusing. For perhaps the first time in his life, he realized how fickle a thing the human heart could be. It's all right, sir. Kajiwara flashed him a carefree smile. What's all right? People who really have cold hearts don't worry about that sort of thing. The detective held out his music player again. Here, I'd like you to have this. Please give it another listen if you like. I think it might help calm your nerves. Osawa took the offered device. He had dared to open up to Kajiwara just a little, and to his own surprise he felt grateful for it. And how about one of these as well? He brought back the banana. The detective produced a banana from his pocket. I'm fine, thanks. Are you sure? You know what? We're being friends. Let's take the banana. Oh, alright. I guess I'll take it. Sawa spoke irritably, and his expression softened a little. You know, you've been getting on my nerves all day. Really? And here I thought I'd been doing what I could do to soothe your spirits, Mr. Osawa. It's actually been a real long time since I've yelled at anyone quite so much. As the words left his lips, Osawa found himself thinking back to one particular rainy day. Flashback time. Maria had been in the 5th grade at the time. Osawa was standing in his daughter's room. In his hands he held the letter she'd left behind. He happened to glance out the window and saw Maria walking along, soaked from head to toe. In an instant, Osawa was consumed with rage. Maria had left a note. It read, "Dad, you only pay attention to Hitomi. You're too busy with work to play with me, so I'm running away from home." Struck by an impulse he didn't quite understand, he ran from the room, heading for the front door. Maria had just gotten back inside. Osawa met her silently in the entryway. Wet strands of hair clung to the girl's forehead as she looked up at her father with a bitter glare. "You don't care what happens to me, do you?" Impulsively, he slapped her face. Maria's cheek turned red and tears welled up in her eyes. Osawa's anger transformed abruptly into guilt. He gazed down at the palm of his hand and saw a tiny spot of blood. He was shocked by the recognition of what he'd just done. And then he was afraid. Afraid that his daughter could bring such raw emotion out of him and make him do something so thoughtless. Dude. Is something wrong, Mr. Osawa? Kajiwara was leaning in, looking concerned. Osawa came back into the moment with a start and realized he had buried his face in his hands. "No," he muttered, looking up. "Just getting angry, yelling at people. I'm not good with that sort of thing. I don't like it." He picked up the music player and fidgeted with earbuds as he spoke. "Well, getting angry and yelling at people, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's just human." "It's human? To do those kinds of things?" I often said that he was so cold and mechanical. Her sarcasm only underlined a fact that he'd always lived with, that he didn't know how to conduct himself like a human being. "Yeah, right? Where did the blood come from? Like, how, if you slap a person, you have to, I don't know. It's weird. It doesn't really make any sense. If you get angry, you show it," Kajiwara said. "If you get sad, you show it. It's human nature to let other people know how we're feeling, after all." "But what if doing that hurts the other person?" "That's when you apologize, sir." It occurred to Osawa that he'd never tried to tell anyone how he felt before. He'd never felt the need to. And yet, right now, he suddenly felt that if his daughters were to appear before him, he might blurt out everything he'd ever left unsaid. It was a terrifying thought. "Yeah, dude, human interactions are terrifying." "Darling." "Darling." I reopened the door and stepped into the room. "The detectives are asking for you. It seems there's been a development." "We'll be right there." Osawa and Kajiwara hurried out of the room. Before the news was shared with the Osawas, the members of the investigation team quietly briefed Detective Kajiwara. Osawa and I sat on the sofa on the far side of the room, watching. They could see Kajiwara go pale. He wiped the sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief several times. Bad news, Osawa thought. "Mr. Osawa, ma'am?" Kajiwara shuffled his way over to them at last. "We've just gotten word from headquarters." He hesitated ominously. Osawa braced himself. "Please, let's hear it. First, about your daughter Hitomi." Kajiwara's expression was grim. "The body of a young man named Achi Endo was discovered near Shibuya Station." "What? I'm sorry. What? We haven't done his timeline yet. Is he dead in that timeline?" The name meant nothing to Osawa. In a building not too far from the scene, we, detectives, swallowed. "Your daughter Hitomi was found dead." "Okay. What?" The world began to shake. Osawa stared, reeling with sudden nauseating vertigo. No, it's not possible. After that, your daughter Maria, The words blurred together. He could no longer comprehend what he was hearing. Everything was wobbling, shuddering, distorting. Hitomi was dead? Hitomi? At those words, Osawa's whole world went dark, as if someone had just yanked the curtains closed. This has gotta be like a bad end, right? Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, I guess that is a bad end. Learning of Hitomi's death plunged Osawa into a pit of despair. This was the dark end of a chain of events that began with a simple, small decision. Someone else merely decided to abide by a little promise. Because of that, not only did Achi and Hitomi meet with disaster, but Osawa lost his mind as well. Keeping a promise is a noble thing for sure, but right now, saving Achi, Hitomi, and Osawa is more important. I'm sorry, I decided to keep a promise of telling somebody that their dry ice machine was broken. Welp. Yeah, that would have been you. Wait, oh, that is not the... Right. That's not where that decision is. Here? It's chasing Yanagita. Oh wow, really? That's way back there? Nothing you can do about it. You're not gonna go back. Somehow 3 people die if I don't. So they're just gonna have to figure it out themselves. I imagine this is mostly the same. Welcome. The waitress only got that far before her face fell. You again. Hey, hurry up and get me a seat. She grinned wickedly. I'm terribly sorry, sir, but we're all full at the moment. He looked around. All of the seats were indeed filled. As you can see, sir. Really now? The waitress's grin widened with triumph. Yes, sir. Fine, I'll just write here. Let me get some power. Jamming his power cable into a nearby outlet, Minorikawa plunked himself right down on the floor and booted up his laptop. The waitress watched in dismay, then turned to stare vacantly up at the ceiling. Just do whatever you want, she muttered, vaguely. Okay, and then that happens. And we probably don't need the rest of this line then. So just go to the keep out thing. It's still all gonna happen at the same, right? Alright. Cool. Something wrong, Mr. Osawa? Kajiura was looking concerned. Okay. Can I skip most of this? Because that's gonna be the same. I've never told anyone how feelings work before. Wife comes in. Detectives are asking for you. There's been a new development. Okay, now we just get to keep out. But nobody's dead probably right now. So that's good. That's something. Alright, well, I guess let's go find out what happened to Achi and Hitomi. Kanon led them into a narrow back alley. The moment she stopped, Hitomi spoke up. Back alley. Members of SOS don't come by here very much. Word has it that in this place, around 10 years ago, one man beat the crap out of 7 street toughs in the blink of an eye, all by himself. Over time, people have offered various theories. That he was an assassin, that he was some foreign soldier, even that he might have been a ghost. And to this day, the urban legend lives on. Why was my sister kidnapped? Before I answer that, there's something I need to tell you, Kanon said. Her tone was cold and sharp. I've come to Japan because I'm on a mission. I'm not at liberty to discuss all the details. Alright, Hitomi gave a slight nod. To answer your question, Maria was kidnapped by mistake. What? Hitomi gasped. But why? Because this kidnapper isn't after Maria. They're after you. Who's after me? The mastermind behind this whole thing, Kanon said. Her tone was matter-of-fact. Whoa, hold on, Ashi interrupted. What do they want Hitomi for? That I cannot say. Well then, who is this person? I can't tell you that either. You see, their sex, nationality, age, appearance, just about everything about them is shrouded in mystery. So there's honestly not much I can tell you. Achi and Hitomi stood dumbfounded. What gives? Achi said. So you're saying all that you know is that this person has some lame name like Mastermind? Hitomi turned to whisper in his ear. Mastermind isn't actually their name. Mastermind, originally used solely to refer to someone of remarkable intellect, the term first took on its criminal connotations in the 19th century. I'm here, Kanon spat, because I'm looking for revenge. Revenge? Hitomi asked. What for? This person also killed my friend. Kanon's inscrutable eyes flashed with a threatening gleam. Earlier, you said that it was your fault my sister got kidnapped, Hitomi said. Kanon cast her eyes down. 4 days ago, I managed to learn this criminal's plan, so I got in touch with Maria, and I told her that you were going to be attacked at that party. So that's why she told me not to go. Hitomi's voice trembled as she spoke. I gave Maria a small GPS tracker to give to you, but I guess you never got it? GVS, Global Positioning System, a network of man-made satellites and ground-based control stations for providing geolocation data. Alternatively, a device that makes use of said system, modern cell phones, and vehicle navigation system. Use the GPS. Here's a fun video. Wasn't that video fun? Moving on. Hitomi shook her head. I see. She must still have it then. That's probably what the necklace was for. Wait, so then my sister... The color drained from Hitomi's face as she understood. Yes, Kanon replied. Maria acted as a decoy and let herself get kidnapped in your stead. Hitomi swayed on her feet, shocked to the verge of fainting. Yet she hurriedly reached out and caught her in his arms. But wait, he said to Kanon as he held Hitomi up. I don't get that either. Why didn't neither of them go? Then nobody would have been kidnapped, right? I mean, why does her sister need to go and act as a decoy? Kanon let out a tiny sigh. If she hadn't gone to the party, the kidnappers would have just found some other opportunity to come after her. Ah, okay, Ashi nodded. That sort of makes sense. I'm betting that Maria's plan was to use the GPS to lead me to these guys' hideout. She wanted to keep her sister safe, and also figured she could help me with my mission. It's the sort of scheme she'd think of. So then, can't you use the GPS to locate Hitomi's sister? Achi asked. Cannon shook her head. The GPS hasn't been powered on since she was kidnapped. It's possible the kidnappers took it from her. Wait, what? So after all that, even you can't find Maria? Achi slumped his shoulders in disappointment. I didn't say that. What do you mean? I've got some intel from those syndicate members we met earlier. Apparently, sometime this morning they put Maria into a blue minivan, and since then they've been moving her all around Shibuya. Achi and Hitomi exchanged glances at the mention of the blue minivan. Unfortunately, Cannon continued, those operatives didn't know what the current situation was exactly. So we're back to the blue van then. Achi hurriedly explained that what they'd been through so far. He mentioned how they'd first seen the blue van where the kidnappers had told Hitomi to find it. He also described how first the man with the cane and then a host of others had come after them. He got a little sidetracked here and there, but Cannon quietly listened to the end. I see, she muttered. So then, what do you think? Achi asked. Seems like we messed up their scheme a little, huh? Whatever the case, this man with the cane concerns me, Cannon said. I doubt he's working with the others. I don't know what that means. Maybe that's it. Some guy who isn't involved butts in and throws off their whole plan. Cannon nodded in agreement. Because you and the man with the cane showed up, she said, they couldn't leave the minivan where it was. They took a sensible precaution. But then if you think about it, isn't this an opportunity for us to turn the tables on Mr. Mastermind? Cannon flashed him a faint, speculative smile. I wonder about that. Aw, come on, Achi grumbled. You're such a buzzkill. Any well-made plan has a good, solid outline, which means that even after it has come to fruition, it's easy to trace things back to the planner. Is that how that works? By contrast, if you achieve your goals using accidental means, the outline becomes blurred, and it makes it harder for anyone outside looking in to grasp what the actual plan is. And she swallowed hard as he took in the gravity of the situation. Well, but I mean, like, if there's an accident, people are gonna be for sure panic, plan or not. The corners of Cannon's lips curled up. Typically, I suppose, she said. But the people who are after Hitomi, not only have they put together a perfect plan, they've purposely left certain tiny holes in it. And so we can't even figure out who they are. The outline of the plan is always too blurry. Achi had no response to that. It was like he was hearing about some completely different world beyond the one he knew. If what Cannon said was true, he'd been dealing with opponents that were on a level way above his own. In any event, these people are after you. It'd be best if you didn't wander around town anymore, Cannon told him. By now, Hitomi had recovered. She stood up straight and shook her head. No, I'm going to find that blue minivan. My sister is in danger because of me. Can't abandon her just to save myself. Yeah, that's right. Achi patted Hitomi on the back. And if that's what you're gonna do, then I don't care who we're up against. I'm with you till the end. Heck, it's too late for me to go out back now. That ship has already failed. Hitomi giggled despite herself. It's already sailed, Achi. Yeah! Cannon let out another little sigh. Alright, just make sure you're extra careful, she said. You can't count on getting bailed out of trouble like you have before. I understand, Hitomi said. Her eyes showed no trace of doubt or fear. Cannon gave her a slight nod, then quickly disappeared down the alleyway. Right then, Achi said. Want to get back to looking for that minivan? Then he stopped, remembering their previous efforts. If they just heedlessly wandered around town, they'd probably end up in the same trouble they encountered before. They'd get chased by the man with the cane, or by the kidnappers, and then their search would be interrupted yet again. What should they do then? There had to be a better way. Achi happened to glance upward, and caught sight of a surveillance camera installed on one of the streetlights. That's it! Gah, can't believe I didn't think of it before. Hitomi peered at him, startled by his sudden shouting. We just need to use my old man's surveillance cameras and this'll be a breeze. Hachi took Hitomi by the hand and started running. His destination, the security camera monitoring room in Dogenzaka. Hachi didn't slow his pace until they were nearing their destination. He turned to look back at Hitomi. It's only a little bit further now. Did you want to walk? I'll be alright. Ah, Hachi, look out. Looking ahead again, Hachi saw that they were bearing down on a young grade school girl. Her head hung in dismay. Leap to the side. He managed to avoid crashing into her by taking a tumble himself, but the girl was still definitely a bit shocked. Sorry about that, Hachi said. Are you alright? But the girl didn't answer, or even meet Hachi's eye. She just looked around as if in a daze. Was she waiting on someone, maybe? Odd kid, Hachi thought. Hope she's okay. Once more, Hachi and Hitomi set off running. Hachi led Hitomi to an old, multi-tenant building. They hurried inside and headed up the stairs. Behind the reception window on the second floor sat the custodian, sleeping on the job. Custodian! This is Yukinori Kitajima. His main job is overseeing the monitoring room for the local surveillance cameras, but on the side he also works as a novelist and game scenario writer. He often sleeps on the job during his free time, but sometimes while he's asleep he gets his writing done. Just recently, a certain game was released set in Shibuya, but since he wrote the scenario and emailed it to the game company while he was asleep, he didn't know about it until just the other day. Hey, wake up, man! Hachi gave the window a tap, and the man woke with a start. Huh? Hachi-chi, don't scare me like that. That's one chi too many. And wow, you sure seem to have a lot of free time on your hands. Yeah, no one's been by to check today. But that's not so bad, right? I mean, I guess it is the surveillance room, but still. The man let out a big yawn. My dad asked me to come down here and check on the security monitors, actually, Hachi said. Sorry to bother you when you're busy, Hitomi added, with a polite bow. Huh? Who are you? You with Hachi-chi? I'm Hitomi Osawa. Nice to meet you. Oh ho ho. What, you Hachi-chi's girlfriend? Again, too many cheese there, and that's none of your business. Just let me have the key. Hoping his blush wasn't too obvious, Hachi mimed unlocking a door. You won't answer a simple question, and you want me to hand over the key? Yes, I'm his girlfriend, Hitomi said. We've just started dating, so I'm sure I'll be seeing more of you, sir. She flashed a winning smile. Oh, well, what a surprise. Never thought Hachi-chi would land a fine lady like yourself. The surprised custodian held out the key. Good for you, Hachi-chi. Still, one chi too many there. But yeah, dating, sure. Hachi gazed into Hitomi's face, even more surprised than the custodian. The key dangled, swaying to and fro like a pendulum between Hachi and the main man behind the counter. Hachi, Hitomi said, nudging him in the side with her elbow. Come on. Oh, right. Snapping out of it, Hachi took the key and headed up to the next floor. I'm sorry, Hitomi said as they entered the monitoring room. For just saying we were dating like that, I mean. It was a pretty clumsy lie. No, it was just kind of sudden is all. I was just a bit jittery, I guess. Hachi felt his cheeks color again. I mean, I figured I had to say something or he wasn't going to cooperate, Hitomi said. She looked a little embarrassed herself. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make things weird. No, Hachi said. No, it wasn't weird at all. Actually, it was kind of... He stopped himself there. Now wasn't the time for that sort of conversation. They needed to find that blue minivan. The surveillance camera monitoring room was really just a big office with a single computer. Hachi knew it well. So this is the monitoring room system, he explained. He switched on the computer. You can see all of downtown Shibuya from this one computer. Hitomi gazed impatiently at the monitor, even though it wasn't showing anything yet. The look of sheer determination on her face held Hachi enthralled. Talk about how attractive your sister is, Hachi murmured. But as far as I'm concerned, right now you're the lovely one, Hitomi. Hitomi looked at him, uncertain. I mean, look at the lengths you're going to and the risks you're taking to save your sister, Achi said. I can't bear the thought that something might happen to her, and the last time we were together I said such horrible things. Plenty of people do bad things without even realizing they're bad, never mind trying to fix it. Just doing what I think is right. Yeah, but these days most people don't do the right thing. Heck, if they did, Shibuya wouldn't be covered in trash like it is. Me, I appreciate it when someone really cares about the things that are important. Doing the right thing is a matter of course. That's very attractive. Achi blushed as he said it, and Hitomi shyly looked away. Ah, I think the system's ready. Turning to the computer, Achi hastily changed the subject. This thing's so simple, even I know how to use it. Clicking on the mouse, he brought up a row of 4 windows on the monitor. Each window showed a different view of the Shibuya cityscape. The image quality's not great, but that's because it's being updated on a 2-second delay, I guess. Achi tapped on the keyboard, bringing up shots of different locations. He clicked on the image in order to enlarge... No, he clicked on one of them in order to enlarge the image. Maybe we really can find that minivan with this. Hitomi was practically glued to the screen. My dad's the one who designed the security system. Your dad must be pretty amazing. Well, he graduated top of his class at Tokyo Denko University, which is a prestigious national university found over a century ago. Applicants who place highly on the entrance exam can receive a full scholarship. Achi's father was one such attendee. The school has supported extensive research into artificial intelligence and recently announced an AI program known as Body. While the computer is asleep, different personalities emerge, which have an impact on various normal thought processes, forming a network of more human-like thought patterns as a result. Okay. He always said he could have had a career in computer engineering, but he took over the electronics shop so that he could marry my mother instead. Well, that's such a sweet story. Do they run the store together then? Ashi shook his head. No, my mother's dead. That's not what the line said, but we all knew it was coming. My mother died when I was 4. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hitomi sounded even sadder than Achi. Well, anyway, never mind that. Here, look. The seedy-looking weirdo they'd run into at Jigo was on the screen. Huh? That guy again. Said weirdo was running all out, a laptop computer under one arm. He was being chased by a man in a long coat. That guy sure gets chased around a lot, huh? Achi said. When the weirdo slipped out of view, Achi switched to another camera. The new view showed the weirdo running again. By hopping from camera to camera, they could track him wherever he went. As long as we have these cameras, Achi said, this guy has nowhere to run. Nowhere to run, huh? The moment he said those words, they struck an odd chord in his mind. He remembered their repeated run-ins with the man with the cane. How the assassin had seemed to always know where to find them. Achi, please, Hitomi urged. Stop messing around and let's look for the minivan. No, but he, literally just had an important thought there. The guy with the cane knew his name. And somehow always knew where they were. Maybe he has access to the security system. No, there's something I'm curious about. Sorry, there's just something I'm curious about. Achi continued to track the seedy-looking man. The weirdo rushed into a knick-knack shop on Center Guy. Soon after, the man with the coat appeared and followed him into the shop. Ha! Looks like he snatched that guy's computer. Moments later, the weirdo came rushing back out of the shop and sprinted away again. He wove through the narrow alleyways with cat-like alacrity. Alacrity? Achi did his best to keep tabs on him, but the man managed to give him the slip. Wow, Hitomi said. She too had been watching closely. I'm kind of impressed. Mind if I keep at it? Achi asked. Sure. He continued scanning camera images, trying to locate the guy again. At this point, even Hitomi was invested in the quest to find the fugitive. But minutes passed and they didn't spot him. Achi was on the verge of giving up. Oh, that's me. Hitomi took out her cell phone. It's an email from Mr. Tanaka. Found him! Achi's shout cut Hitomi off. The guy was in a back alley off of Center Guy. He was talking with someone. Huh? Is that? Achi blinked a few times as he leaned in closer to the screen. Hitomi, you have to come look at this. Ah, that's my sister. Hitomi brimmed with excitement. For real? I think so. What's she doing in a place like that? And why is she talking to that guy? And why hasn't Achi noticed yet that that was totally the same girl he ran into at the mall a couple of times? I'm not sure. The monitor showed a cheerful little scene. Looks like they're having fun. Guess since they're twins, they're both into older guys, and she felt his mood start to sour. I have to ask, are you sure she was kidnapped? Yes, at least I sure thought so. And so did the police. Then what's this all about? Should we go and see for ourselves? Guess so. Oh, what about that email? Achi pointed at Hitomi's cell phone. Shouldn't you take a look at that? My sister comes first. That place where she is it far from here? Not particularly. Achi and Hitomi rushed from the building, heading for the alley where Maria was talking to the computer thief. Excellent. I have a jump point for later. It wasn't long before they were closing in on their destination, but as they headed down a narrow side street, a familiar figure suddenly appeared to bar their way. Uh-oh, it's him. Gun in hand, the man with the cane slowly ambled towards them. Achi and Hitomi bolted down a nearby alley. Taking another turn, they reached the alley that they'd seen on the cameras. Maria! Hitomi rushed over to her sister, but Maria just stood staring at Hitomi in silence, as if she couldn't process what was going on. Meanwhile, the assassin was still in pursuit. He had turned the corner behind them and was steadily drawing nearer. He pointed his gun at Hitomi's head. Come on, hurry, Achi urged. He tried to lead the two girls away, hoping to escape further down the alley. But instead, Maria charged boldly at the man with the cane. Ooh! The assassin was caught off guard by the unexpected counterattack, but he reacted quickly, clubbing the girl in the head with the grip of his pistol. Maria! Hitomi shrieked. She stared in horror as her sister collapsed in a heap on the ground. Then Hitomi's eyes rolled back in her head, and she fainted into Achi's arms. This is a death. This is a bad. When the shock had overwhelmed her, she was out cold. Yep, this is a bad end. Slowly, the assassin lifted his gun again, aiming for Achi and Hitomi. If he'd only had Hitomi to protect, Achi might have been able to pick her up and get away. But he couldn't just leave her sister here. He knew, with the chilling certainty of despair, that he could never save them both. Yep. Alright. Finding Maria had seemed like such a stroke of luck, but it led to Achi and Hitomi running right across the killer's path. This never would have happened if Achi hadn't gotten distracted with tracking that weirdo on the cameras, if he'd focused on looking for the minivan instead. Alright, game. I see what you're saying. Telling me not to have the fun. Alright, my bad. Let's look for the minivan. Could have found your sister, but we end up dead doing that, so let's not do that. We continued switching views, scanning the streets of Shibuya, but there was no sign of a blue minivan anywhere. Still, they remained glued to the monitor. Oh, that's me. Hitomi took out her cell phone. It's an email from Mr. Tanaka. Oh, okay. Yeah, it was about time for my mood to take a dip, Achi thought. What? Hitomi blurted. She looked up from her phone. Achi, Mr. Tanaka found the minivan. He what? What does he say? Read it to me. Okay. I ran after it, but wound up losing sight of it. It was heading toward Jinan. That's what he says. What about your sister? Another jump point. Was she inside? He doesn't say. Achi switched over to an array of surveillance cameras near Jinan. The few seconds the transition took felt agonizingly slow. Finally, 4 new images popped up. Achi quickly enlarged one of them. Ah! Hitomi let out a tiny gasp. There on the monitor was the blue minivan. There was no doubt about it. Achi and Hitomi rushed from the building, speeding towards Jinan in an all-out run. All-out run! Run, Achi! Run, Hitomi! Run! Other guy who's looking for Miku! Neither spoke. They simply dashed along in silence. Achi felt as if they'd been running a marathon, and the finish line had finally come into view. They hooked a left at the station and darted past the Saibu department store. Aha! Achi pointed as he came to a stop. The blue minivan was still there, parked by the curb along the slight hilly incline. Leaving Achi behind, Hitomi started rushing up the hill. Alarm bells started going off in Achi's mind. Someone from the kidnapping crew was in that van. It was dangerous to approach carelessly. Oh, this is definitely one of those. If only the right thing had been yelled out, then the bomb won't go off. Stay back, don't get too close, Achi shouted. But she didn't appear to hear his cries. Nova rescuing her sister had driven all else from her mind. Achi started to run after her. Hitomi had reached the vehicle already. She brought her face close to one of its windows, but the tinted glass obscured the view inside. Hitomi circled around to the minivan's other side. Achi saw her grasping at the door. She slipped out of his view for just a moment. Oh yeah, this is gonna explode. Yeah, that's the correct expression. There was a thunderous explosion and a gout of flame tore the roof off the minivan like it was made of aluminum foil. That is not what that video showed. Hitomi! Horrified, Achi charged through roiling smoke, searching for Hitomi. He saw 2 figures sprawled on the street several meters from the van. Hitomi and Kanan. Hitomi, wake up! Achi cradled her in his arms, and her eyes drifted open faintly. Are you okay? Are you hurt? Hitomi didn't appear to understand him. Her only response was a blank, dazed look. There was a small patch of red on her face. Achi wiped it gently away with a finger. He saw no other further signs of bleeding. She must have been splattered by someone else's blood then. As far as he could tell, she hadn't been gravely injured. Achi let out a sigh of relief. Hitomi, is she alright? Kanan stirred on the ground. Her clothes were scorched in places and she was bleeding from her head. Kanan, did you save her? Is she alright? Yeah, what about her sister? Kanan didn't respond. No, it can't be. And she went to look inside the van. Amidst the smoke and the flames, he could make out the outline of a body. What happened here? Achi had to look away. Get Hitomi out of here. Hurry. If those guys show back up. Kanan's face twisted up with pain. Alright. Achi settled Hitomi carefully in his arms. Wait, I need to tell you something. Kanan's pain gasp called back to him. Alfard. Huh? Alfard. That's the name of the mastermind. I'm sure it'll come up again if you keep pursuing this. But if you value your life, don't get involved with Alfard any further. Now go. Okay, and thanks. With Hitomi in his arms, Achi hurried from the scene. He wasn't sure where he was heading. He just wanted to get away wherever that meant. and carried her past the crowd of onlookers that had swiftly begun to assemble. The flames of the burning van rose ever higher, roaring up toward the heavens. Oh, really? Huh. Thought for sure that'd get me a bad end. Yeah, the bad end for Kano still exists. So, probably do have to say the other thing. Tell me, wait! And she shouted. She didn't appear to hear his cries. Okay. Nope. That's still... pretty much a van exploding. Oh, but that does change something about here. Alright. Suddenly, a boom as loud as cannon fire shook the area. Something's wrong, Kano thought. That's no ordinary city noise. Alright. This van was destined to explode. Then Kano saw flames. This hadn't been an accident. Someone had set off an explosion. The Shibuya precinct wasn't too far from here. Kano recalled the attempted bioterrorism attack on Kazumigaseki. 2 years ago, the Tokyo They're all very loud. 2 years ago, the Tokyo Metropolitan Public Safety Commission obtained intel of an imminent bioterrorist attack within the city. Immediately afterward, an unoccupied van exploded outside the Metropolitan Police Department, and a device for dispersing a bacterial contagion was discovered at the subway platform at Kazumigaseki Station. Having determined that the city bureaucracy was the target, the Japanese government contacted the terrorist organization responsible in secret, making a deal to put an end to the threat. That incident had begun with a van exploding outside the Tokyo MPD station. Already a large crowd of onlookers was gathering. Shouts rose up as they took in the scene. What's going on? What happened? That car is on fire! Kano called into HQ, then quickly slipped around to the back of the burning vehicle. It was a minivan. Peering at the flaming chassis, he could see that there was someone inside. Oh no, could that be Hitomi? Once they had their hands on the antiviral, the criminals would have no further use for Hitomi Osawa. Already the body had been charred to ash. At this point, it was hardly recognizable as human anymore. Ah, keep out. So we have a jump we have to make for that. Alright, so we have... They made it to the end, and I think everybody else is on... Oh, something changed with Maria. Right, because... what's-his-face found her. Phew. Suddenly I feel totally exhausted. I let out a sigh and dropped my eyes. That's when I noticed a notebook on the ground. Right. Got that from the assassin. What am I supposed to do? I hang my head at a total loss. The necklace around my neck sways idly to and fro. Ha! That's keep out as well. Alright, we need to do some jumping. Gotta jump. Eventually, I muster up the energy to start walking around town, heading nowhere in particular. The billboard outside of a department store displays a poster of some female musician. She must be pretty popular, because lots of passersby stop to take a good look. I catch sight of little Hannah in front of the billboard. She's showing something to a woman there, some colorful sheets of paper. That woman looks a lot like the musician in the poster. Moreover, I have the feeling I've seen her someplace before. Where could I have seen her? Man, having amnesia is really a pain in the ass. I have no way of knowing whether I've forgotten something, or had no memory of it in the first place. The woman looks through the papers Hannah held out to her, nodding approvingly at each one, and I can hear her murmur with admiration. Hannah! I wave as I scamper over to her. As I do, the woman abruptly hurries off. Hey, we meet again, I say. Hannah just gives me a bored look. Who was that just now, I ask. I don't know. Hannah quickly gathers up her belongings and starts walking briskly away. Oh, hey, wait up, I call out. The girl ignores me. She's moving at a jog now, heading from Spanish Hill towards Koendori. Yeah! As she steps out onto Koendori, she trips and falls down hard. The contents of her bag spill out on the road. Oh, whoops. Catching up to her, I gather up some of the fallen pages. What's this? There are poems written on the colored paper. Poems! Copies of a prose poem titled The False Monsoon. The poem delicately details the wavering emotions of an adolescent girl. Also, in a clever twist, if the text is read horizontally instead of vertically, it tells about a father's worries over his only daughter, who is now of marriageable age. Hannah's genius will soon be discovered by Aya Kimiki, and she will go on to become a popular songwriter. A look of embarrassment crosses Hannah's face, and she snatches the pages out of my hands. Don't touch those! Those are for sale! For sale? I'm selling poems that I wrote. Oh, wow, that's incredible! She looks surprised by the compliment. Incredible? My friends at school said that they were dumb. That's not true. I only saw a little just now, but I thought it was a really good poem. You're just saying that. I've been out here in Shibuya for weeks trying to sell these. The only person who's bought one was that lady just now. Hannah lets out a mournful sigh. Well, what are you out here selling poems for anyway? I thought maybe it'd help pay back our debts. Huh? Okay, that's not something I'd expected to hear from a little kid. My dad's in real deep, she continues. The topic makes me think of Mr. Yanagishita. Guess today's my day for meeting people mired in debt. And I'm only in elementary school, so I can't get a part-time job. Japan's Labor Standards Act prohibits the hiring of children under the age of 15. For certain jobs within the entertainment industry, however, employers can obtain a permission from the Labor Standards Inspection Office for younger children to work. I'm impressed. She's so brave. She's maybe a little hard to approach, but she is just a kid after all. She's so brave, I just want to give her a hug. Oh, Hannah! I hear a strange wailing call from behind me. Startled, I turn around to see Mr. Toyama, standing there, tears streaming from his eyes. Hannah, I'm so sorry. I had no idea you were trying so hard, too. Toyama rushes up to the girl. It's quite the emotional father-daughter reunion. Or at least that's how it looks until Hannah slaps her father across the face with her bundle of papers. What? What was that for? Don't you give me that. I'm sick of all this running around. She delivers several more well-placed smacks with her little craft project. Okay, Toyama says at last. I know you're upset, but I have to ask you for just one thing. Then we can see about getting through the day, yeah? Okay, but just one. I can't help but find this ordinary interaction kind of charming. You two get along really well, don't you? I say. Yep. Nope. two give simultaneous contradictory replies. Then Hannah sullenly starts to walk off with Toyama tottering after her. It's such a weird little sight that I can't help but laugh. Well, later then. Bah! Well, at least we weren't in the van. Didn't think we were next to the van explosion in this storyline. Further along Koendori, I come across a car on the roadside that's spectacularly aflame. A group of onlookers surrounds it in a confused uproar. It seems almost unreal, like I'm looking at a set for a TV show or something. I stand there, staring into the flames. Huh? What's that? I can see something. The raging heat makes the air shimmer. The scent of dry sand fills my nose. A gust of searing wind tugs at my hair. Where am I? Decaying roads, decaying houses, a decaying city. And the people who live there, people who live, people who live, people who live. There's someone by my side. Someone is with me, watching all of this. It's the Jedi Knight. It's a girl. The person with me is a girl, slightly younger than me. She says something to me. Anna is me. Cat's Cradle. That's my voice now. Cat's Cradle? Whose voice was that? What's going on? Who am I talking to? Yeah, Cat's Cradle. I'm showing someone how to do a cat's cradle with string. But who? Who am I showing how to do a cat's cradle? Kanan. The word Kanan echoes in my head. Kanan? I utter the name aloud. The images floating through my mind are beginning to break up and vanish. But I feel like, for a brief moment at least, I'd caught hold of the edges of some of my lost memories. That's right, Kanan. As soon as I say it, I'm filled with a powerful sense of duty. There's something I'm responsible for, something that I needed to do, and if I don't, this Kanan person is going to be in grave danger. Calm down. Just calm down. I'm pleading with myself now, fighting the impulse to take off running. If I did, where would I go? I have no idea what my destination or my goal even is. Please, please remember something. Please, please. I gaze out at the flames, practically praying now. Don't move. A voice hisses in my ear, and I feel something hard press against my back. I don't need to turn around to recognize whose voice it is. I thought you said you didn't have any business with. I did a little thinking, says the man with the cane slowly, about how I might lure out Hitomi Osawa, see? I'm going to use you as bait. That gets us 2 of the 5 to an end point. So we keep out there, keep out there, keep out there. So Achi and Maria. Everybody else needs a jump. But we're gonna have to do that later. Because that's the end of my stream time. Let's see who's online right now. So that's it for tonight. Our next stream is going to be Sunday morning, 10 a.m. We'll be playing the longest 5 minutes on the Sunday streams. So we won't be back for this stream until, or for this game rather, until next Thursday. I have to think about that because I can't stream next weekend due to some stuff, so maybe we'll do a different, maybe we'll do a bonus evening stream somewhere else. eBlock, thank you for that 100-bit cheer. If you're looking for older VODs of this game, I have placed them up on YouTube except for yesterday's. That's why the YouTube link is in the thing, is in the chat there. And I'm gonna throw in the Discord one. Ian's still streaming, so why don't we go raid Tilty House? Yeah, let's go do that. I'm gonna take off for now. You all have a good night, or time of day, which is yours, and I will see you. I'll see you later. Take care.